erasure move by saying that Bo-Katan's song wasn't written, and that's bullshit. So, how's it going, guys?
It's going.
It's going. It's going, May. How's it going, Mr. Force Ghost Rob?
Dead as always.
All right. Cool, cool.
All right.
So, yeah, today we're going to talk about the new episode of The Mandalorian, but up first, because it relates to Mandalorian, there was a movie article that hit that there could be a movie in 2026, and it could be the Mando movie. And so Bespin did a write-up on it, so we'll cover his version of it because the trades piece is a little bit fluffy. And so Star Wars movie could release in 2025 and 2026. Rey's New Jedi Order and Dave Filoni's Mandalorian crossover. And then you could give Bespin a coffee if you want to support his site, which you should if you read it, like me. 5 days ago, Lucasfilm, this is from BespinBulletin.com. 5 days ago, Lucasfilm hosted Star Wars Celebration in London and showcased a plethora of new trailers for their upcoming TV shows and announced 3 brand new movies from director Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy, Dave Filoni, and James Mangold. But what's interesting is that none of them were given a release date or window, despite Lucasfilm and Disney having reserved December dates in 2025 and 2027 for 2 untitled Star Wars movies. Now we have an update with some insight as to when we can expect Star Wars to return to the big screen. The Hollywood Reporter has revealed that the upcoming film focusing on Rey Skywalker's New Jedi Order is aiming to release December 19th, 2025, according to their sources. But as of now, nothing is set in stone. The news shouldn't I don't know, count as much as a surprise, come as much of a surprise as the film, according to Kathleen Kennedy, has been in development for a few years, with Damon Lindelof, that's for you, Rob, initially writing on the project before parting ways last month and being replaced by Peaky Blinders creator Stephen Knight. The film's development has been reported on for over a year, but was not officially confirmed until Friday when Lucasfilm brought out the film director Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy and star Daisy Ridley to thunderous applause, which is how democracy dies, just so you know, at Star Wars Celebration. Fans have long speculated that Obaid-Chinoy project would land the December 2025 release date, a date Lucasfilm have had reserved for a Star Wars movie for 3 years, given the amount of momentum and confidence behind the project within the past year. THR go on to mention that Lucasfilm are hoping to release another film announced at Star Wars Celebration, a movie that'll be used as a crossover event for multiple live-action Star Wars series, including The Mandalorian, Ahsoka, Skeleton Crew, and the Book of Boba Fett, 1 year after the Rey-focused movie. Not in the timeline, in our timeline, Earth, which gives us a window of December 2026. Unlike the New Jedi Order movie, this flick had not been rumored until mere hours before the Celebration event took place. Kathleen Kennedy introduced the executive producer of the series previously mentioned, Dave Filoni, to the stage to announce the project, which he'll direct. Filoni and Kennedy remain tight-lipped on the film, but Filoni revealed it'll feature characters from the Filoni-Favreau timeline and focus on the conflict between the New Republic and Imperial Remnant. Disney currently have a 4th Avatar film dated for December 2026, with Disney previously revealing they plan to release a Star Wars and Avatar film biannually, with the next Star Wars film listed after 2025 being dated for December 2027. It would most certainly be a surprise if Disney decided to delay a 4th Avatar film for the Mando movie, given the success Disney recently saw with Avatar: The Way of Water, which made more at the box office than Lucasfilm's last 4 Star Wars films. THR mentions that Filoni's Mando crossover flick is timeline dependent on the various Disney Plus series pertaining to The Mandalorian and its spin-offs, with a particular focus on the former's 4th season and supposed 2nd season of Ahsoka, which has not been greenlit and is dependent on the success of its 1st season, which releases this August. The article mentions that the newly announced Dawn of the Jedi movie from James Mangold is the furthest away from release, with Mangold set to begin filming his Bob Dylan biopic this summer after the release of the Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Following the production, post-production, and release of the Dylan flick, Mangold will continue to focus his efforts on the movies, the Star Wars film The Swamp Thing from DC Studios, and Mangold confirming during Celebration that he's writing as well as directing. If Avatar 4 and Star Wars swap dates, it's likely we won't see the Mangold project until 2028 or 2029 at the earliest, if it ever happens. And I sincerely hope it does. And then you could follow Bespin's Bob podcast and on all the socials and all that jazz. So yeah, that's certainly strange. As it was a little bit like unexpected piece of news, if you will. Because I don't see how like that can go, because unless Avatar wants an extra year and they just decided to do a trade. You know what I mean? Like
No, it'll be a May film.
They won't do it, man. They will not do a May film. They will
just
not.
Like they'll never do a Mando movie, right? Bob Iger's back. He wants that May slot, man. You think he's gonna give that up, dude? You think just because Solo didn't work, he thinks May won't work for Star Wars? Especially if they're scaling back Marvel films, they'll push a Marvel film out of May.
If they
release
a Star Wars movie 5 months after the last one again, they are fucking stupid.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Jason,
how
long have you been doing this?
No, Rob. That's the fact that it's fucking 2023 and there hasn't been a Star Wars movie is what's making me think they wouldn't do that. They would not go and take all of these years to decide that they're going to do just what they did last time.
That's exactly what they'll do.
No, I don't.
100%.
I don't think so at all.
Yep.
I don't believe that 1 second.
I'm gonna put down an AM PM hot dog right now, Jason. Huh?
I don't know. I say that is impossible. Impossible. That would literally just be doing what they did with Solo, which Bob Iger's like, that's my fault.
But they're doing
I
this
messed
one on
that
a
up.
budget.
What's that?
Yeah, but I don't think they think releasing in May was a problem. I think they think making the Solo project.
No, he literally says that. He literally
but he's not going to say making a Solo project was the problem. He's covering his own
making
ass.
a Solo project wasn't the problem, though.
Yes,
No, it wasn't. I'm telling you, man.
Sure.
I'm telling you. I know what the numbers look like. I'm able to like kind of look at what the numbers are versus the box office, like on the site and stuff like that. And the problem is when I reported on Solo stuff before the Last Jedi, it did fine. But once we were in the thick of the Last Jedi, no one would read Solo spoilers.
You can't have it both ways. You can't sit there and say that people mostly actually really like Last Jedi. It was just the crazy people online complaining, and then say that enough people around the world were so fed up with the Last Jedi and never wanted to see another Star Wars movie again. They skipped on a Han Solo adventure that was super fun. That's
absolutely not what I'm saying. That's what you're hearing, but that's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is that there was a huge wave of press around The Last Jedi. Everyone was focused on it. Everybody was concerned with Rey. And then this side story comes in and it can't get any fucking attention. And they waited until way too long to start promoting it. But they can't go and they can't do that again. They don't have the faculties.
They won't wait to promote it. So then if you're telling me it's just a matter of promotion, then they'll promote the shit out of this and do it again.
No.
You know what I think?
What do you think?
I think it'll be December.
Do you think it'll be December?
I can't see them doing a May film.
Yeah.
I know you people can't, but we'll all be here in 2026 to talk about it in May. That'll be fun.
Okay, so when it doesn't happen in May of 2026,
then I'm wrong.
Then you're
Dogs
wrong.
and cats live together. Look, we got a whole song for this.
Yeah.
I don't see anyone doing Meg's wrong songs around here. So when I'm wrong,
You're
we'll
wrong.
celebrate about it.
You're the one who's making the outlandish claim today, friend.
I believe it.
I don't think that if they would do it just because of the bad press that doing it would generate. That's not going to go unnoticed if they do it.
You can't have May the 4th be the Star Wars date everyone creams their pants over every year and then tell me a Star Wars movie can't work in a May because one Star Wars movie didn't ever. Makes no sense.
Rob, nobody is saying Star Wars can't release in May. They can release every one of these fucking movies in May from now on if they want to. But you can't do a movie in December and then do a movie the next May with less than half of the year.
So let's say July. You're going to be in December.
That would be a better start for sure.
Like what delay? What date is? Yeah, so like June 30th is the Indiana Jones date, right?
Realistically,
late June. July 4th.
Yeah.
4th of July weekend will be the Mando weekend.
That would be more realistic than May for sure.
I'm just saying summer, okay? I'm just saying summer. I'm not.
You're saying
giving
summer now.
If they're like, well, that's what I meant by May. It's summer release. May has always been the start of the summer season for film. So
right.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not sitting there saying if it's fucking June 1st, Rob's wrong. I'm telling you, it's not going to be December. It's going to be fucking summer of 2006.
Yeah.
And they're going to probably do this on a budget, just the way you and Bestman talked about, and they're going to shoot it.
Well,
They can shoot,
I don't think we didn't say that.
Well, you guys were speculating.
We speculated it.
How long? Okay. I gotta make sure because you.
Yeah, people.
What does it matter what I say, stuff. Jason? Because when you give accurate information, they say you didn't say it anyway.
That's
so.
Right.
Like, why do I have to correct you accurately when your accurate information is not correctly repeated? So I don't know what to say about that.
Yeah. But I mean, it's good. It's good that if the trades are saying it, there is a chance that it's just wrong, but there's more of a chance that it's actually people at Lucasfilm trying to set things straight, like actual, like a controlled leak, if you will. And considering nothing really came out in there that was like that juicy about what, the story contents or anything like that, makes me think that's probably what it is.
Another chance they could have done that was just by giving the dates out at fucking Celebration. Because they know these dates are going to leak one way or the other. I
don't think that's what speaking. I don't know. It's that things aren't set in stone. I've heard the movies aren't budgeted. I heard that and then today they're saying that they're like not set in stone. I heard recently that the movie initially was under Chapek.
Okay, so hold on.
Oh, under Chapek, the movie was going to be a Disney Plus movie.
So let me get this right. So a movie that has no budget, probably has no script, is going to bump a third or fourth film in a series that's already shot, that's in the can, that's just being visually protected. I mean, like, and is already,
that's a weird reading,
proven
Rob.
to make $2 billion at the box office.
Rob, nobody's going after your blue.
No, Meg says movie. It'll be in December, and you say it absolutely can't be in. Maybe summer, but mostly.
It's not an assault on James Cameron. It's what if Cameron wants more time? No, I'm not
saying that. I'm saying that studio's not going to put Look, a Star Wars movie and an Avatar. Yeah. I don't fucking care because I'm a fan of Avatar which one gets in the way. Right. I could give a shit less how much movies make at the movie theater. That's not my interest. But a studio isn't going to put another space opera within 2 weeks of another space opera that they're putting out. But they're not going to do that.
You're presenting it as if it's being bumped. What if Cameron just wants 5 extra months? What if Cameron wants to go in May?
Well, if Cameron wants to move his films to summer, then that's something to talk about.
Right.
But he just hasn't done that for 30 years. Star Wars has always been in summer up until The Force Awakens. So for 30, 40 years, Star Wars were consistently a summer movie, and James Cameron movies for 20 years were not.
Yeah.
But, I mean, last time he released a film in the middle of summer was True Lies. So, like, he tends to do well in that spot because he doesn't make his films are like more like family dramas in a way, like they're dramatic more than adventure, which plays well during the winter season. That's why they put Titanic. That's why you didn't have a problem with Titanic being bumped from summer to Christmas, to be honest with you. But whatever. I just think this movie is going to get done in summer of 2006.
Yeah. Wait,
because I don't think they're putting it at the same level as like because it really is a true one-off. It's not going to be something they could spin off into a trilogy or some stuff like that, So if they want to cement that Christmas date, they'll cement it for something that they want to keep moving forward or alternate between Obaid's films and Mangold's films or whatever else they want to do. Plus, I think they want to open up a second spot. Eventually, they want to do 2 Star Wars movies. Like they don't want to do a Star Wars movie. They want to do one every year probably. And they got to find another date to move a Star Wars movie.
Yeah. I mean, realistically, I don't know. I wonder how Star Wars movies would do at Thanksgiving and then having like that time to run up into the Christmas release of an Avatar movie. And then because like the
Star Wars movie will do well at any date. That's my whole thing. If it's a good Star Wars movie, it doesn't matter if it was released 6 months after the next one. If it's fucking amazing, well, it's great. Maybe it's a little fatigue because of the marketing campaigns, which explains why they undermarketed Solo if they were afraid of over marketing, to an extent. But
With Solo, they were just stupid and arrogant. 100%. They just went through with the same exact like budget and layout and everything almost the same, except for that Denny's fucking promotion with Pop Rocks.
that was great.
But
I do think the Denny's is Han Solo. It's the perfect promotion for Solo. Like for a Han Solo trucker movie, yes. For a Han Solo World War I/20,000 Leagues Under the Sea movie, maybe not. maybe you go with Savaros. I don't know.
All right, so we got a Robert Sinclair update. Heading to the dentist. I'll catch today's show on replay. So Sinclair, clean teeth Sinclair, as we call him around here, says tip of the cap once again goes to Jason for his scoops once again panning out last night. Thank you, Mr. Sinclair. And do what the Santa says and like the show and all that jazz, please. I would
Every time
appreciate
Jason's right with his scoops, you got to take a shot.
Oh.
So yeah.
So
like does the two?
Five
we'll
shots
get to
a year.
We'll get to it.
No.
We'll get to it.
Okay. So Santa asked a question that we could use to start digging into the episode that we're here for. The Mandalorian Chapter 3, The Spies. And what does the title mean? The Spies.
I think for me, there's no doubt it's the Armorer.
Yeah.
She's the villain of this season.
But do you remember
Gideon?
Do you remember my scoop? My scoop from the finale was filmed, the 2-parter was filmed as one thing and then split into 2 episodes. And at the end, I got her like anointing Bo-Katan as like Mandalore.
But she could be like,
she could
be doing that thing where it's like, oh yeah, I was pissed off with Mandos and I now see the error of my ways.
Or is it a title that pays off later? You know what I mean? Like next season, does it turn out that she's the two-faced Darth Maul loving hussy with horns on her head? I don't know. But
well, Gideon has horns on his head.
Mm-hmm.
She has horns on her head.
Yeah, they're both little devils. And
did you guys see Dengar in the end credits?
What?
Dengar is in the end credits as an Easter egg on Coruscant.
In the concept art?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Was it original Dengar or was it
original Dengar, not
original
the Rise of Skywalker one?
The weirdo looking one. Yeah. No, I didn't see it.
We call that Dankar.
Did you we were talking about it in the chat. Me and Luke noticed it last night. They fucking ate those baby chicks, dude.
Do you think that's what they were?
Probably.
I thought that, and then I looked at them again. The shape is a bit different, but then again they've been burnt to a crisp.
Yeah. I kind of feel like it's most likely one of those things where if they never pick up that thread again, that's what it was. And if they do decide to put everybody on mounts in season 4, then no, it wasn't that. But yeah, it did look like they were eating it. But so that opening, we open up with the, I don't know what's it called, the Shadow Council of Imperial Remnant guys. They're all talking about how they have to act like they're just warlords and that they're not unified, or the Republic's going to come and crush them. And we got Gideon, who's just like, "Hey, where's this blue guy? Where's this Thrawn kid? I think we need a new boss, and I'm the new boss. What do you guys say?" And everybody's like, "I don't know about that because Thrawn's a psychopath, and stuff like that." So they're kind of like a bit apprehensive about going along with them. A couple do though.
I will say, Jason, credit to you when a lot of fans were like, "Oh, well, Gideon's got to be working for Thrawn," and you were kind of right in saying, like, I can imagine Thrawn thinking Gideon's a little bitch.
No, I know that he thinks that actually. That's like an actual like.
Oh, that's the thing.
Ahsoka, yeah, that's the thing from Ahsoka, that he thinks he's a little bitch, and so I would imagine like the Shadow Council stuff comes back up in the Ahsoka series, and then like we kind of like he knows something about what's up. But the thing that I don't actually know is I don't understand like why they're waiting for Thrawn, why they believe in him, even though it's been like 10 years. It's been like a long time since he's been
What?
gone, and I don't know how anyone is talking to him. I don't know how any
Do you
of
know
that's
how I
working.
interpreted that?
Yeah,
I think Pelion knows that Morgan Elsbeth is building Thrawn's fleet. So
right,
it's like an ongoing process that will resolve in the Ahsoka show.
right. That's what makes like the most sense. And I think that I actually have a theory. Here's my very early theory. But so we've had this like whole unification theme, especially with this season. And the whole thing is like, if we don't all work together and we go into civil war, then we're going to lose, right? If we keep doing that, we're gonna lose. Little Grogu stepping in and going, no, 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 when the two guys want to fight on that ship and on that barge. And so I kind of got a feeling that Gideon, if he doesn't die this next week, I don't know if he lives or dies, to be honest with you. And if he lives or if he dies, but if he lives, I imagine Thrawn comes home, and then Gideon's like, "Oh, look what I've been doing for you." But then I think Gideon's gonna try to pull a power move at the wrong moment, divide their forces and fuck them up, and allow the good guys to win in that movie. That's my theory.
Do we know
I
if
think
Din Djarin
Gideon-
survives?
Do we know what?
If Din Djarin survives.
I believe he does.
That's good.
Yeah. Like I said, those rumors that were going around, it's a situation, like I've said before. This is just for me. I'm not debunking anybody. I'm not saying anybody's right or wrong, but I just know like that I got the casting of Din for season 1 of The Mandalorian. Like I reported it at very good Pedro Pascal sources. And because I just right place, right time. I live in the right spots. I know, just coincidental, the stars align for me. And for season 1 of The Mandalorian, he was brought in late. He wanted his face shown because Disney was not wanting to pay adequately during the negotiations. They were wanting to pay him as a voice actor. He said, I'm more than that. And they said, yeah, we'll show your face. So they wrote that scene where he shows his face to IG-11. So that's why they added that. And they showed his face. Now, I'm not a voice actor. Pay me. And then I'll be your hero. And so Disney says they go with it. They make a deal. But that was very contentious. And he was almost like the Mandalorian and then not, but we would never have really known, and it wouldn't have really mattered at that point had he not been. But that was the big blow up. And that was why the face stuff was introduced in that way. And it's why his face was shown in season 2. It's why it was written that way. And so the rumors have started twice now. And I believe all of it is from the first season when he first entered. But but when they started to do season 2, when the negotiations for season 2 were going on, no one had seen season 1 yet. No one even knew that this show mattered. Nobody cared except for me, the Star Wars guy, you know what I mean, who had the Star Wars website. The trades didn't care. None of those Hollywood people cared. And then the show was a massive success. Then that bit of news goes around, and then now it's happening like in the middle of season 2. I just, purely from my perspective, I think that the story as I know it, that I've said this whole entire time, is the story. And so then it got an extra layer added to it that he's going to die because of that now. And that's what makes me go, no. And I also don't think that they're going to kill him on the verge of a movie as well. Just a side like opinion there, just my opinion. But so I don't think his fate could be somewhat like unknown with how this shakes out at the end of this season. There could be kind of a cliffhanger there. That's possible, but I don't believe he dies. I don't. But we'll know in a week, right? We'll know in a week if he dies, but I don't think he does. And I'm pretty sure that Bo-Katan is going to become Mandalore, because I got the whole thing with that ceremony. And once she becomes Mandalore, I think then we go a bit back to Din. The narrative will flip back to him because that story is now complete, and he has been a knight along the restoration of Mandalore, which is what the story was about from the very start. The very, 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 very first thing I ever reported was the story was about the Mando saving a kid and the restoration of Mandalore. So people who are acting like that is new and that was added in now, it's been that way since 2018. So, is what it is, I guess. But anyways, yeah, so back to those guys. Back to the episode. Yeah, the Imperial guys are like all kind of infighting. You get a little bit of like sense that some of them are a bit like, cagey. Some of them want to turn on each other, or they're down just to like go against Thrawn. Others are like Pelion's completely mortified by it.
And they already did.
Mhm.
Because this is the new Shadow Council. There was an old one that kind of completely disintegrated after the Battle of Jakku.
Oh, really?
Yeah. With
Okay.
Ray Sloan, Gallius Rax, a few others as well.
Yeah.
And Hux is very two-faced.
Yeah. And that was, and just to confirm it, there was people who saw this at Celebration who was saying it was Donald Gleason that was playing the father of General Hux from the First Order, but it's not. He's not playing his own father. That's his brother in real life playing Brian Gleason playing Hux. Young. What do we call him? What's this fucking? How do we? Brendel Fly Hux. So yeah. So anyways, the Spies equals Kane. I don't know. I don't know how to read that, because she is a spy, but it's plural. And so I don't know what sense to make of that right there. But
you know what I think? I think we're reading too much into it. The Spies could literally just be the remnants. Like spying on the New Republic through Elia Kane and others.
Yeah, it's possible. Just it's such a like a weird whatever title, because it's like, especially for the one where they actually really like go to take back Mandalore. I don't care about the titles, so it's not like it ruins anything for me. But anyways, yeah. So we get to see the little Shadow Council, and they're all a bunch of weirdos. And then I gotta say, I don't know if it's just me, but that, what do you call that? That, like, I don't know if it's a yacht or that barge thing that the old crusty guys had. As that's what my sources called them back then. What's his name from Breaking Bad? is on it.
I literally thought he was Snoke.
When I saw him, I was like, "There's Meg Snoke. There he is."
Yeah, I was so disappointed. Same with Christopher Lloyd.
Yeah. Oh, the Christopher Lloyd one still kind of burns a little bit. But that barge ship thing, I love that thing. Like, what kind of art style does that remind you of? Is that like a Mobius kind of thing? Like, it reminds me of something I would have seen in like heavy metal or something, like in the 80s.
It reminds me of the Kashyyyk things from Revenge of the Sith.
Right. Yeah. I dig it though. I was sad that they blew it up so quick. I was like, that thing's pretty rad. Why are they destroying it like that fast? But that the monster fight in this episode, that's the, if I'm just going to be critical, just to be critical, that's the thing. I was like, this doesn't really play.
It kind of. Do you think they're foreshadowing the Mythosaur?
Probably. Most likely they're like setting it up where you see that. And but there's been like so many monsters in this, monster fights and monster things in this season, that I'm kind of like,
it's like a $3 million shot to set up something that you could just mention. Mythosaurs are cool. I don't know. Like, it's a lot of money and time to design a whole set just to have a dinosaur rip it up in 2 seconds and move on. Like, it's a lot of effort.
Yeah.
Normally you would want to place a sequence there, or if they're escaping, they could be escaping on it, and there could be a whole battle or something to justify all that. But hey, look, like I've at this point, I just tried to think about it. I've been told Santa told me, don't think about it, Rob. Don't think
No,
about it.
he
Paper
didn't
moon.
tell you that. Rob,
Just
Santa did
paper
not tell
moon.
you
That's
that.
what he's. Don't think about it. You're
No, that's
thinking
not
too
what he
much.
said.
Don't think about it.
That's not
he
what he
said that.
said. No,
He didn't say that?
no, he didn't say that. He never
Telling
said
me I
that.
got the wrong lessons from Santa Claus.
But no, but
maybe Santa's the spy.
You know, this like two-parter went through like 3 rounds of reshoots. Like they kept, so I don't know what changed or what they changed or something didn't work or if it was just to keep making it better. I'm not sure why. I never got the answer to that. But I do feel like that monster fight was maybe to like reorganize something in the story. It kind of just feels like it. Like, oh, let's just have a giant monster pop out and then like destroy the boat, and then we could just move on to the to going to the lower levels from there. But
Jason, did you also feel like this episode left more questions than answers?
what kind
I'll
of
give you-
questions did you have? Yeah, what kind of questions popped up for you?
So Moff Gideon,
Right?
he wants to clone himself for like the next Dark Trooper army with Beskar so that Luke doesn't show up and slice him in half.
Mm-hmm.
Were they the white troopers, or has that not happened yet?
No, those are the ones that those are
So
the
they're all
Mando
Gideons.
flying ones. They're all Gideons on the inside. And to be critical of the writing, our dental friend Robert Sinclair, he wrote me and he was like, "Hey, dude, are those actually clones? Because people said they were clones before." And I took a screenshot for him of this right here, and it's our boy Gideon going. And the most impressive improvement is that it has me in it. And it's like he is literally saying, "Bye, Luke. Love you." Go on.
I don't think Moff Gideon would ever say that, but
Bye, dude. Yeah, but yeah, so he's just like saying, yeah, he's like saying that's his way of saying those are clones of me. And instead of just maybe saying, you know, something about how they're clones of him, they wrote it in this way that just is weird. It was
it sounded to me like he was demonstrating himself as a prototype.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get the message that those other guys were him.
Yeah. It does play weird. It does play weird when we have like the shit talking about the cloning stuff going on, but we know from the narrative that Gideon and Pershing and all of that stuff was a thing. So we do know he's lying, like that he's posturing to the council. He's pretending to be one way when it's quite the opposite, you know. But it's definitely gonna end up interesting for Gideon with that council as time goes on, because that kind of starts to come up too. Is like you said, it's about the Beskar stuff. Luke can't just slice through, you know, kill them like he did the last ones. But it also
all he has to do is fire his laser blaster at him and kill him in one shot, right? Like,
no, that wasn't
that's
working.
the problem. Like but they're shooting them left and right. Like they're just one shot down. As long as Luke comes in with a Gatling gun, he can just pop them out.
No, that's what wasn't working. They're like shooting at them and they're not going down. And then that's when the guy goes, they got Beskar. And then once they know that,
but he's still killing them. They're still killing them. There's just more of them than
every
there
now
are
and then
of the Mandos.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, every now and then, but it doesn't end up that well for them. Like I watched it like twice, and it does play that way. That is how it like it's choreographed or whatever. We got some do get shot and go down, or they hit like a lucky shot on the rocket pack or something, and they away. But
I do have a bit of a theory of why the armorer is behind this, because how else does Moff Gideon know that Bo-Katan has the Darksaber again?
Maybe Carson told him, because Carson knew where Red 5 was.
R5,
right?
R5.
Yeah, R5.
Yeah,
so R5 is the spy. You know,
R5
look. My theory makes as much sense as anything else, because he literally was spying on Mando like in an episode.
Dude, he was just talking about his life, dude. He was just like, "Yeah, I'm living with some Mandos now, and you know, yeah, I still have nightmares from the war, but I mean, you know, thanks for talking me down." Stuff like that. Yeah, but the whole I found the clone thing though just to be a little bit, that was a bit absurd. And I also thought if you were going to do it, like I kind of wanted to see that they were clones under there. I wanted to see like them I wanted the weird moment of a bunch of Gideons putting their helmets on, you know, but also if you were going to clone yourself, I don't think you would clone yourself as a 60-year-old man. And so I'm guessing that they're like 20 years old or something like that, you know.
I don't know. Anakin was 40 when he was 19, so who knows what this Favreau verse, what they're willing to do for.
Did you guys like the Praetorians?
You know what, the Praetorians, I will say, shows the difference when something's not shot by Rian Johnson, because like they were doing the moves kind of, and they were doing the posturing, and they were flicking the weapons back accurately for the same thing, but it was not shot in a way that was as convincing as what Rian Johnson did, and the way that he did it to make those movements like look well on screen. And so I don't think, probably we just didn't have the coverage to actually like make it like work like in the right way. I don't know, but it did feel a little dancey to me.
I do have a video on that tomorrow, because there's a reason why the Praetorian Guards in The Last Jedi were proficient in 4 different combat styles. And it could just turn out the First
Allure?
Order. Yeah. Okay. It could turn out these
It is
are
called
just
the Mandalorian,
prototypes.
Jason. If you don't know all the lore, you shouldn't be watching
Mandalorian.
Yeah. But I don't think Jon Favreau cares
to understand what's going on.
I don't think Favreau cares about the lore.
No, I don't. I don't think any of them care about the allure if it's in the way of a fun idea for them, or what they think is a good idea. They'll just come up with some exception to it, right? And then Gideon outlawed Form 5 of Praetorian fighting because he did, or something like that. But yeah, I mean so then we I kind of skipped way ahead, but the big thing for me, the thing I've been waiting for this whole time, was Grogu in the IG-11 or IG-12 now mech suit. And when I first heard that, I was as giddy as Gideon, and I called Bespin Bulletin, and he and I were like, no way, and we were like fucking like, you know, little girls in the 60s who got tickets to go see the Beatles, you know. We were very happy about it. And then I put the article out, and it's just fucking bummer town through and through, of every fucking person going, this sounds really fucking stupid to me. And I loved it. I thought
not just that, Jason.
Beautiful.
If you remember at the time, Santa covered it. I covered it. You covered it. I think we covered it collectively on Santa's thing.
Yeah.
And like most people didn't even believe it was true.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. Every time I do something, it's like it's my first rodeo, when it's not. You know what I mean? That's the whole thing, is like, I'm not saying I don't fuck up sometimes, but if I'm gonna fuck up, like I'm gonna fuck up like, oh, somebody's gonna be in it and then they're not in it because something changed. Like Jamie Lee Curtis was supposed to be the witch, and then she didn't. She ended up passing on the role because of the movie came up. So shit like that, I fuck up. But I'm not gonna fuck up. Oh yeah, Grogu's riding around an IG-11 mech, you guys. Like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Though at this point, like, that would be, number one, that's so left field and insane. That's why before I even went to verify it, I knew it was true. Sometimes you hear something so fucking crazy, you're just like, that's real. That's definitely real. When Bespin told me about Lizzo the first time, I knew that was real, because nobody's gonna say that. Nobody's just gonna go out and like, you know, and be like that crazy. By the way, we both really, really regret not running the Lizzo thing on April Fools. We should have just ran Lizzo on April Fools and just left it there. Like, that's what we were talking about. And we were like, yeah, that was the right move. That was the right move.
Big whiff.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to say he fucked it up. It was his story. He fucked it up. But yeah, it's pretty good though. Would have been good.
Yeah. You know what, man? I like Bespin, but he may not be built for this.
It might not be built for this.
In case you get it out with a straight face. Yeah.
In case you missed the episode, when Bespin went to the Acolyte set, he was like going up this mountain, and they know he's there for Star Wars. He's like, I'm just here to hike, mate, or whatever he says up there in Wales. And they're like, you're not built for this. Oh man, yeah. At least I
hit you where it hurts.
I'm just gonna have to just go to a parking structure in a park, maybe. I had to go to a college, you know, and park in the college parking lot. But he has to like go to like mountains and shit because he lives in the land of Willow. So, but
you know, Jason, we missed you at Celebration. You should have been there.
I know. I wish I could have went. It would have been a good time. And then the next one's in Japan. Which by the way, I'm all for them doing it in Japan, but I'm kind of disappointed that they're doing like the next movie one in Japan. Because I don't know if I could go to Japan. It would be cool though. But do you plan on going? Do you plan on going to Japan right now for it, or are you like, nah, I'm not going there right now?
I think it's like if I can save up for 2 years.
Yeah.
And it's worth it, maybe.
Yeah. Because like I've always wanted to go there, but I feel like if I go there, I'm probably going to want to look at Japan and not Celebration. You know what I mean?
100%.
I've been to like it's like this won't be my, you know, it won't be my, other than you guys potentially being there. I've been to Celebrations like 5 or 6 times now. So Japan is a lot cooler of a place to be to me than looking at, you know, a show floor or something. So
Jason, did you go to Celebration during the George Lucas days?
I went to 1, I went to 2, and I went to 3. And then after that, I did 2015, 2017, and 2019. So I'm like a movie. Like I don't necessarily go if it's like, you know, just we're doing TV shows and books, because I care mostly about live action and I care mostly about, you know, actual like big news. And so those are the ones I always made. So I went to all of the sequel trilogy and all of the prequel trilogy ones. And yeah. So anyways, that's where I'm a little bit like, man, it kind of sucks that they're doing it in Japan for the next film, because I do like to go to the ones when the film stuff is real big and everything. But I'll have to see. Kind of hard to justify going to a Japan when I got these kids. Oh, thank you for the super chat, Tommy's Tables. I hope Rey ends up pregnant with Ben's kid. I don't know. We'll know when it comes out, because if it's half black, we definitely know it's Finn's. That's for sure. But I kind of got
a Gideon clone.
Oh shit! Yes,
because she's part clone, right? So she can just pop out clones now. That's her force power.
It was a virus written in her father, a strandcast virus by a cloner, and then she is when she has a child. It will. Yeah,
that makes as much sense as what Favreau is writing, dude. I feel like, you know, as you pay attention to all the movies and the lore, then you're good. It worked for you, and there's no reason to complain. There's no reason. You should just enjoy it.
But I will say
Gideon babies confirmed, right?
Well,
they have Gideon's old head, but a little baby, like a young baby body, like a Babu Frick with like a little Gideon head? Like what if it's half Frick?
I think I understand the rules though about what the difference is between a Star Wars film and a Skywalker film. And so like Luke Skywalker showing up in Mandalorian does not make Mandalorian Skywalker Saga. Has to do with the family. So what Tommy's hoping for, that's episode 10 bait. That's episode 10 material if it was to ever come to fruition. But just Rey showing up in this other movie, not a Skywalker movie, just because she's in it. That's not a Skywalker Saga movie, because it's Skywalker Saga implies the family itself. And so if they were to ever do that, I think that would be episode 10. So my guess is she's a working woman. She's not a birthing woman. Not that birth doesn't work, but you know what I mean. And this one, I think it's not going to be in this one. But I wouldn't be surprised if we end up going down a weird path like that. I mean, I don't know. Okay, sorry to veer off the review so hard, but would they ever do the virgin birth thing again? And would they ever have Rey just like, I'm just pregnant with the Skywalker baby, like it just happened? I don't know. Would they do that in today's Disney climate? I know George would. He's fucking crazy.
It's woke Disney, so Finn would probably have the kid, right? I mean, everything's woke now, right, Jason? Right. You were gonna believe me when I say that shit, but like that's
what did
I'm saying that facetiously.
What did I send you, Rob? I sent you something recently, and it was like the demographic breakdown of something, and it was like really huge, but it wasn't white. It was like Latinos were like a huge like part of the audience. Anyways, it'll come to me. Super Mario Brothers. Yeah, it was a Super Mario Brothers movie. I wanted to bring that up yesterday, but it was like, if you look at the demographics of the people who saw Super Mario, not primarily white people, and it goes to show you that like there's this white logic that if you just cater to white people, then you have success, and that's just not true when we look at what made Mario a success this week. So when people go like, go woke, go broke, that's the dumbest rhyme in the world, because it's fucking not true. I'm not even saying the Mario movie is woke, but it just goes to show you that that's not who it's this assumption that whites are the dominant consumers of that media or of that medium of film, or the dominant consumers. It's just not true anymore. It's just not true on a larger scale. So it does make sense that you do have a lot more representation in films, considering who your audience actually is in 2023 and the last 10 years, really. So anyways, yeah.
And also, Jason, this whole go woke stuff, it's so like online, like in the real world, and I got cancelled for this last time I said it on Santa's stream, but I'll say it again. In the real world, people don't have the views that certain people in fandoms online do.
Right.
It's like the algorithms really cater to certain political people, let's say, and
yeah,
it's like a cycle. But in the real world, people are generally apolitical for the most part, or their political leanings don't go as far as being upset because a minority's in their films.
Right. And on the opposite side of that too, I would say people are probably as horny and just like, am I attracted to that person in terms of star power, rather than looking at what their race is? Because when you just look at how people behave, they're like, oh, Pedro Pascal is fucking hot, I'm gonna see any movie he's in, anything he's in. Like that's what most people are, how I think consume that kind of shit on another level too. So you can't forget the horny people. That's what I always say. But Dell says kaiju is always the way. Okay. I believe you, Dale. But yeah, as we get closer to Celebration, I don't know. I kind of want to go to Japan though. Like I kind of do feel a pull to make that one happen. But maybe I could be really selfish and stay in Japan extra time for like, I don't know, probably not though. Anyways, Phantom Empire says, just had a thought, but what if Disney released Avatar or Star Wars at the beginning of December and the other one on the other end? Generates a soft month, so it would have legs. See, that doesn't work, because you end up like, just a thought, it would be December and the other one on the other end. It would still be self-cannibalizing potentially, because if you have like, when you have people that are going to see a movie beyond like the initial release window, it's a little bit like, we're just going to the movies, let's see something that's attractive, and we see that, and I think that would hurt them. I think that would hurt Star Wars and Avatar if they were to do that. I mean, it's possible they like try it. I mean, they have a hard, Disney itself with this monopoly that they've constructed, have a difficult like situation now, because their own self-interest is continually like complicated without hurting itself. Like between Marvel, Star Wars, and Avatar, I mean, it's fucking confusing. So, but anyways, yeah. So back to the IG mech thing that I veered off of so hard. The actual like moments in that, with him having the yes and no button and stuff like that, it played really, really, really well, I thought. I thought it was as charming as I assumed that it would be. My son stayed up last night. He's on spring break. He stayed up and he watched it, and he was in tears, like laughing so hard at it, and he was elated, and so I thought it played really, really well, and I thought if there was anything that bummed me out about it, is that it came so late in the season.
That's my thing. It should have happened probably after he got rescued by Bo.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, I can't leave my kid vulnerable. Yeah, you got force powers, but it's a dangerous world. Why don't we, find a way to keep you a little more safe in case something happens to me? And then the unintended consequences of that is now the kid also has the ability to annoy the shit out of him with the fucking voice toy, because everyone knows when a kid gets a hold of a voice toy, you regret life. Like, as a guy who worked in a toy store when Tickle Me Elmo came out, I can assure you it's hell on fucking earth. Like
my favorite moment was when he grabs the fruit and Grogu holds the fruit up and it's too tall for him to grab, and he's like going for it. And it was like, this
would have been great to have
amusing.
4 episodes of gags with that. Like.
Well, we will have another season where they will continue it, obviously.
Oh, we'll probably have 9 more seasons, right? Like
probably.
In a movie. Yeah.
Well, probably, yeah.
Yeah.
I would imagine. I mean, I would actually like, and that's another kind of thing that happens. What if this Mando movie's huge? Like just what if it's the biggest thing that they've ever done? What does that do to to the shows? Like, does that actually kill the show? Because it might, and that might be where all of a sudden Elia Kane or whatever becomes like, oh, we're following her because we're not showing anything from the movie people, because we got to keep everything under wraps and everything needs to be so tight for the movies. I hope it's huge, but I hope that doesn't happen. But that's kind of a concern that I have, But we didn't get to see like Grogu fight in it or whatever, and that's one of the things that I had heard is that they were like on this and I'm curious, by the way. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I the way I heard it went down was we end up on an ice lake with all these Mandos like ready to fight, and we end up with Grogu in the battle too, in the mech, and he's fighting, and then they're fighting the Gideon. And then we end up with a myth. I heard it as and then like the mythosaur, and I assumed it was a mythosaur fight, but I'm going with the theory. I think Bespin was the one who suggested the theory to me, and it's that because the mythosaur's underground, underwater, in the mines, that Bo will go get the mythosaur and then pop out over the ice lake on the mythosaur, or with it, whatever. And then that will be kind of like how they win the day in that moment and make Gideon retreat off the planet, off world. Wow. Mm-hmm. What's that, Rob?
I don't know, man. Is this the armor better be a spy? Because it makes no sense to go down to the Great Forge and the armor is like, I'll take the wounded back to the ship. It's a 4-hour drive, so if you see you tomorrow, like. It's one of those things where like you'd think going to the only reason not have the armor there is because she's the leader and they want Bo to appear the leader, and I'm afraid that's the only reason why. Like I'm hoping it's not just Favreau's like, what do? We need to show her leading, and the armor is sort of the leader, so they would look to her. I hope it's because the armor, but you see what I'm saying? Otherwise, it's just another plot thing that we're into where he does things because he wrote it that way.
I'm not seeing the armor personally. I'm not convinced that she's a spy, and I'm not seeing the armor as being the leader as much as like a church elder or the wizard that's by the queen's side, that kind of situation. That's sort of where I see her is more of being like the an advisor.
I don't know. She's holding the hammer every time they talk, and it's her hammer they have to hold to talk. She's the one teaching everyone everything. She's the one who pulls out the hammer. Everyone shuts up and listens to her in this episode. Seems like the leader. You know,
but
like,
well,
but I guess statistically, if the Star Wars source book has their classification down as something else, then I'm wrong, right? I'm totally wrong.
No, it doesn't mean that other people in a tribe wouldn't be venerable. You could have veneration, and you can, you know what I mean, without it having to be like, I am the supreme leader of you peoples. She's the one who knows her shit. She knows their culture and their stuff. It doesn't have to mean that she is and she's not the one with the dark saber. She's not the one who saw the mythosaur. And also the other thing is, something that I appreciated in this episode is that we get a little bit more of the backstory of Bo-Katan in a way that I thought rounded her out a bit better in terms of the collective season. Is that we learn that she surrendered, and when she admits to surrendering, there is a shot of the armorer who's like, "What?" There was like she does seem like actually like legitimately shocked in the way it was filmed, and
it breaks
she's like
my heart
honest
that it
about
was
it.
something that was just told to people and we don't actually see it. You know, when the armor was telling people about Mandalore being destroyed back in Book of Boba Fett, you actually had the Terminator you saw it. If it was just her helmet telling you all this stuff, doesn't have the same weight.
So yeah, I wouldn't have wanted to cut back and then seen Gideon like, let me have it, and him like, okay.
No, but you're saying I'm not saying in this episode. I'm saying in the series in general. This is something we should have seen as an audience. You know, like something that you
now
experience. But now I know. It's the what's the exposition Lorian, right? We got exposition is the way you solve all your problems. It's a lesson I'm learning with this series. You long as a character sit at a table and they speak for 10 minutes, all your problems are solved.
Well, I mean, going into this, I mean, I don't know. That's I disagree on that one.
I do too, but that's what's happening.
No, I'm saying,
you know?
I'm saying like, I mean, you're saying that then the message is they go and they fight for 10 minutes and then that's the resolution.
No, I'm saying that when you just have characters tell you their entire backstory and why they're related to someone, why it's important, and this person over here and we over here, and I really did that, and then everyone goes, "Oh, that's really important." I don't buy that. You know, I'm not into that. That ain't my thing. And I guess if I just don't. There's a way to make you actually feel like the choices she made, so that you felt like you made the choices she made. So you understand the guilt. It's not just, you can't come into this with 9 years of having seen a cartoon and go, see, that's why it's important, because you got to go watch 9 years of the cartoon. In Mission Impossible, they don't
Rob,
just assume you know how the mask works because it's been in every movie.
You're acting like Book of Boba Fett, and that was like a completely different thing that doesn't count. We literally see the ramifications of what happened there. We did see it. We saw the
relationship
bombing
with Gideon was not something I knew about.
Yeah,
but
but once again, that's back then. I'm going to give them a pass on not giving us a prequel series in the middle of the episode for like momentum reasons. But we saw what happened. We saw the ramifications. We saw the bombing. We saw the invasion. And then now we've seen the glassed planet. And we've seen the people going like, oh shit, looking down as they're ready to drop in. What the fuck? It's worse than we thought.
You're right.
And no, and then, but then we have her going like she didn't need to admit it. But I think in admitting it, it showed to the people in the leadership there that she's an honest and honorable person, that she made a mistake, but that she's at least owning it. She's not like sweeping it under the rug, because we also know if that didn't happen, and that if we go with that history, it would come out and then they would turn on her. So getting it out of the way, I think, was probably makes the most sense, but it's more about setting up what's happening next episode. We don't need to go back and see the other fight that she lost, because we know she lost, but we're going to see the fight that she wins next episode. So that's, I think, why it ultimately probably plays okay in the end. I mean, when the season's done, we'll have to see what you think about it when the season's done. It might not play, but I think that's what they're going for. So, and until they execute like the actual like last act of it, I'm going to give it a pass. You don't have to, obviously, it's your opinion, but I kind of think that it might be okay, because we did see the bombing, and then we will see the, like, I don't know if revenge, the atonement. I'm not sure how to view it, but but anyways, they did seem shocked by it, and then that makes that honorable moment is what makes Din want to knock boots and write a song about her, right? Does that make
Everyone
sense?
does. Yeah.
I mean, I mean, he does.
What?
He does. No, but he does. He
You
does
wrote a
go up
song
to her.
about her. It works. It works.
No, it totally works. I mean, no, but I mean, he does go. He does. I mean, he does actually approach her after that, and then that's when he's like, basically, like that's where he swears fealty to her, right? That's kind of what he was doing in that moment. That's where he's saying like, "I serve you." Basically, you know, you're my queen, baby. I know Bestman texted me in the middle of the night when I was sleeping. I woke up and I looked at it, and he's like, Santa's gonna be all about them hooking up now. Santa's gonna be shipping them hard after that.
Well, Jason, hold on. I gotta hold on. I heard they're gonna go to Gatlinburg, Jason.
Okay.
That's what I heard. Yeah. That's where you get the Gatling guns with the Mandos. They get their
the big old
Gatlin. Yeah. But yeah, that's they got to get another one in the next episode. Whatever, everyone goes.
Yeah. Gatlin Gunberg.
It's too good. Couldn't had to set that. I know. It's too good. Couldn't wait on that.
With Grunberg. But Grindelberg. But I mean,
it's a planet of clone huxes.
What I would say though is I know I personally didn't see the moment as actually being romantic. I'm not saying it couldn't be setting up that pathway if they decide to take it there, but I did take it as like him saying basically you're our queen, you're our leader, you know what I mean? Like you're Mandalore and I serve you. And but I would say if they do take it into a romantic place and they have some fucking kind of thing where, you know, because Mandos want to kiss too, that they're able to take their helmets off in front of each other, that would solve a ton of the fucking like issues that they have with the show and acting. If you just have the two of them with their helmets off and they can talk, you know, that might be a way to get around that. This helmet stuff, I got to admit, is way more trouble than it's worth. Gotta say. But
no, just have their helmets touched. Dunk.
They just go dunk dunk.
Tunk.
I'm getting so wet for you. Nobody dunks like you.
I want to cut inside the visor so you see it through that thermo green screen. You're like, I love you, and it's just like tunking all. And then cut back to her. I love you. Hers is pink though when you go right, and his is pink and hers is blue. Like one of them has to have like a colorful filter so you know which one is tunking.
I predict one of the Mandos who could take his helmet off will go down on a Mando who wears the helmet, and that will start the helmeted sexual revolution for them because they'll be like, this oral sex shit is the best. And then that's when they finally do away with it. That makes sense to me.
I mean, Jason, didn't you hear the Almara's song? The second song, she said the first one in the Book of Boba about the mythosaur.
Mm-hmm.
But songs of eons past talk about very good Mandalorians going down on other Mandalorians.
Oh yeah.
Filoni wrote the scene.
Oh, now you know what my movie's about. Oh, can't wait. That's why only I can write it. You know what I'm saying?
Mandalorians and the Thighs of Destiny. No, no.
Hold on,
Filoni.
I'm gonna write
You can't
that
do
down.
it.
Hold on.
You can't do it.
Oh, okay. I'm not in a Filoni mood today, but yeah.
It's called Mandolingus.
Mandolingus. All right, Filoni. You like that a little too much.
He's like riding the bomb, you know, like in Dr. Strangelove. Right?
Baymax says, I might try to work things to be in Japan at the time. Hey, I could get one of those bandanas and put it on my head if you need a roadie, and that would justify me going with you. Just saying. I'll be like, hey, what's up? My name's Jay. I'm here to move some Marshall half stacks for you.
He was amazing the other night at the Cantina event.
Yeah?
Yeah. Mark and his band.
Wish I could have been there. Yeah, that was.
You got a shout out, by the way, Jason, on stage.
I did? Nobody told me.
You got a shout out.
Oh, thank you. What was it?
They started
was it
their song. Rod's wrong. He sucks.
Rod's wrong.
Jason's the best. Yeah, Jason's right. MakingStarWars.net. Woo, woo, woo. Yeah.
So, what was the shout out?
The shout out was to thank YouTube channels who kind of helped promote the event. So he thanked you, me, explained. I want to say as a true.
That's the truth. Nice. That's
Santa.
Cool. Santa.
Bespin.
Bestino. David Bestino. Well, thank you. No, and it was nice talking to BMX on the show and the rest of the boys. It was a good time. Yeah, I wish I could have been there. Like I had seen like a lot of stuff that was going to go on at that show, and it looked so neat. And all of the guests that he pulled together, worked his ass off, and he paid off, I think.
It did. It was a great evening.
Baymax says Armor and Axe Bows both leave the trap. Either could be spies. Yeah, I kind of think that you're right there. I think that is the best theory, because I was of the opinion that Axe Woves wasn't part of the arresting of Gideon, which meant he would have been the Mandos who were hired to rescue Gideon, or could be. And so maybe he's already, maybe Gideon's got him on retainer. Maybe he is the spy. But then again, he would have not needed G68 or whatever to tell him what was going on if he had a spy there. So that's, unless he's just baking it, keeping what he knows to himself. But that's kind of a confusing thing. But I do
info and bombers to himself, Jason.
Yeah, but I don't well, and I mean, but if we want to look at like the narrative itself does put, if we want to look at it symbolically, I didn't like that Paz and Axe play chess. You're fucking Mandalorians. They should have been like drinking fucking beers and shit and fighting on the boat like pirates. That's what I say. But or having an arm wrestling.
They're explaining space chess to you too.
Well, they're disagreeing on the rules, and that's why they fight.
Yeah.
But anyways, but you can't, but throughout that narrative, you can't say Paz's heart was in the wrong place. He is through and through. We see that he had the covert's best interest in mind all the time, even if he was wrong. And
even
wrong
if
about
he gave
Mando.
His kid a shitty helmet, right?
Even if he
I've ever seen.
decided to camp for a night while his son was in a bird's mouth, even if that happened, he had the best of intentions, but he understands that rest,
Jason,
is important.
Don't think about it. Just don't think about it. That's what Santa taught me. Just don't think.
You know what?
Thinking's not.
Santa didn't say that to you. Santa, you're making that up. Santa did not tell you don't think.
Sure, he
never
didn't say
told
that?
you. He didn't say that.
Told me not to think about it.
He most certainly did not. But anyways, but what I'm trying to say is that was that just a dumb scene just to make some like, oh, we have this cool ship, let's do a moment on it, or is it there a little bit of foreshadowing in the narrative there that if they are playing a bigger game, and that Axe Woves is on the other side, because that's what it could mean. And I personally don't trust Axe Woves, and I think they should kill him just to be sure. That's what I say. But yeah, and Dave says the armor is Merlin to Bo's Arthur, and I think so too. I think that's how I'm seeing it.
Their Star Destroyer literally has a Mythosaur tramp stamp on it. Like
it does have it. It does. It does.
You need to re-edit the video where that appears. Like,
yeah. No. I the first version of that video, I was just like, I just put it together because I was like, I want to redo it when I have like all of the footage, with the IG mech and stuff, because that's why I mentioned it. But
Mythosaur tramp stamp
when you're 40 years old. Man, I make myself laugh. But anyways, yeah, and then the Talking Sis says, hopefully we get a bit more romance back in Ahsoka. I don't have it confirmed at all, so this is just the way I feel about what I've heard. But I do kind of get the impression that Sabine seems to be have feelings for Ezra that weren't apparent in the most of that show. So it does kind of seem like it could be going that way. But oh yeah, Dave's little skinny Pete in this episode, Breaking Mandalore. I know that's I texted a source of mine and I was like, that crusty old white dude was Skinny Pete from Breaking Bad. And he's like, oh yeah. Fucking hell, man. All of this time, it would have just been nice to have known that. But oh yeah, and the other guy, the other crusty old guy, like he looked cool. I thought they actually both looked really cool. The crusty old like Mando dudes, they fucking like were like
they needed George Miller directing. Like George Miller wouldn't know what to do with these cats. You know, like they're marauders, they're survivors. They play chess. I don't know. You know
No. It's
that's so they brought that with the Mandos brought that with them. That's their portable chess set. It wasn't already on the boat. I got
on the boat. On the boat, we have the two surviving clan leaders who didn't leave. So those guys are kind of the badasses. They fucking stayed. And then we have the ex Death Watch guys, and then we have the cult or not the Night Owls. It's all confusing.
It should have been all like witness.
There was like three.
You know
there's like really like three factions when you get down to it of separate people on that boat. So, but
and they got really good eyesight because they can spot a tiny tattoo on someone's helmet from like a fucking 4 miles away, right? And they can hear her too. Like you can just hear her. Like, yeah, you sound like they're like on the other side of the planet. You have a Night Owl tattoo?
Yeah.
In fact, I do. We worship you. Thank you. Done. Brilliant. Give him a fucking Emmy. Like
Nick, thank you for the super chat, Nick. Nick says, "As the True is now my adopted son." And then Baymax says, "Nick is now my enabler." What did he get you to drink libations at celebrations?
What did Greaves say? He used a word. I'm like, that character would not have used that word in season 1. What is it? He uses when he's talking about Grogu for observation conference. No, it's some fucking word he uses for when he's like uses.
Yeah,
he uses a fucking word. I'm like, that dude ain't talking that way. That ain't the dude. Like
no, but it turns out it actually is. So that's actually not. I know what you're talking about though. I remember what it was. It's like around that time when he's like telling Mando to like go get hookers, right? When he's like, "You're rich now,"
libations,
and he says like libations. Yeah, but they are kind of. But then later on, he says like, "You be what landed gentry." Stuff like that.
Season. I'm talking about season 1.
No, I know, but what I'm saying is it's sort of like a Lando thing though, where you see him in like the scuzzy jobs at certain points, and other points he's the baron administrator of a facility.
Are you saying he changes his culture voice depending on who he's talking? Is that what you're saying? What do they call that?
No,
like
I'm saying
when Hillary Clinton goes down south, she talks a different way than what she does when she's on.
No, I'm saying that Grief Karga, if he wasn't born in Star Wars, would probably be a politician or a high class gentleman, but because he lives in the land of the Star War, he became for a time the leader of the Bounty Hunters Guild, and then now he is basically going back to that gentleman aristocrat person that he really is when he's not having to, just get by because of imperialism and stuff. But yeah. But anyways, yeah, when that shot of the Star Destroyer goes over, though, I did kind of expect him to be like, "Oh God, not again." You know what I mean? When it first happened,
right.
When it was like flying over, and
we need an orbital cannon. We need an orbital cannon just to stop assholes from just parking over the city. There has to be rules against that. Like, hey, you said we could live here. Yeah, but you can come from any angle. You don't have to go right over the Capitol. Like it's like plenty of angles to come here.
That's what occurred to me. I was like, there were total assholes for not like calling ahead.
Yeah.
But then I was like, you know what? They probably kind of want to go through the neighborhood and be like, yeah, we don't fuck around. You know who we are, and that's probably like why they were like doing it that way. That's what I wrote in my head canon.
In your lore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sucked. Thank you for the super chat. Sucked says, do you think Paz's son will maybe show up in the Rey movie as an adult, and maybe Grogu will hook up with Rey? What? I know I have wondered about Paz's son a lot though, I started to wonder, like, who will, I don't know if do they have like a Jedi Padawan only one apprentice kind of rule? Does Paz's son end up with Grogu and Din? Does he maybe end up with Bo-Katan? Maybe, because Bo-Katan, I don't know if they're all in this setup that they have, if they're all sort of supposed to be training the next, guy, but he is a Vizsla.
More time with that kid is what we all want, right? Like, it's been really great. Like,
it's not nothing wrong with the kid. The kid didn't do anything in terms of.
I'm not bagging on the actor, but if you put a character in a show, you can't complain. Can't say you can't complain about the execution of that character simply because they're a kid. That's ridiculous.
No,
I'm not knocking the child actor. I'm saying that kid's fucking annoying. Like, just stands there and gets eaten by birds and shit. Like, I don't know. Like, maybe now he won't get eaten by birds.
That's completely because he was a plot device and not really a character. But now he is a character who played. Device? No, he doesn't know that yet. But I'm saying if as they continue on, and if they continue on to tell the stories from that covert, then, or the people on Mandalore now, then he would.
I mean, no one has a problem complaining about Cousin Oliver, Jason.
I mean,
don't go, you're bagging on the kid. Cousin Oliver is a horrible character to add to that show.
Right, but the thing about it being a television show is if you don't like the kid in that episode or the other episode, it doesn't mean that he has to suck forever. It doesn't mean that if they can't make him cooler, and as he gets, and then by the time they get to the next season, how old do you think the kid is? Probably 12. So he's probably gonna look a lot different here, like in another year and a half.
He's gonna look like Boner in a couple years, right? Like, remember Boner?
I don't know.
He's gonna have that Boner look once he cuts his hair short. Yeah.
I mean, but he's supposed to. I mean, well, the other thing is like, are they? If they were to continue the story, do they just go with him being a Vizsla? That's just it, like the original Vizsla, pre-Vizsla from the prequels, prequels, kind of funny. But he's like just a normal guy. He's not like a huge like monster man like that guy was. And so
the kids start eating more to live up to his dad's weight, right?
Did he find out his dad died maybe and eat those chicks? Those are the questions. See? Yeah. Right? You didn't think about that, did you, Rob? Now you like it. Now you like it, don't you?
I wouldn't say that. I like it in the way I like droid cereals. It's got Star Wars on it, and I'm eating it. But it's not one of the better memories.
It wasn't a good cereal. Meg, you were born after that cereal was not in production anymore, and it's a good thing you never had to try C-3POs, because I was in the cult as a child. And so I ate the C-3POs as if they were good. I knew they weren't good, but I was like, oh, I love these. I did not like them. But I wanted that. I wanted that mask.
A lot of flashbacks this season to eating 3POs.
They had a mask you could cut out in the back of the box, and you could, I'm Darth Vader. I'm Luke Skywalker. I needed it.
You could. It was a pathetic mask because it would sit flat on your face.
Well, it would actually just bend. It would just bend like into like a point like this on your face, and. I
had wondered why they hadn't done that with the Batman cereal. That'd be the one where you could construct a mask out of the box.
Just cut it up.
Like
little popsicle stick max, maybe. Instead they put a giant bank on it eventually and saran wrapped it with a bank on.
Well, Batman does have a giant bank.
There we go. He's Bruce Wayne. The Talking Sis says, what are the chances that Grogu doesn't end up in the Rey movie? I don't know, because I see it not happening, considering the proximity of having to wrap up his story. I used to assume that they were kind of trying to have their cake and eat it too, that he would stay with Mando until Mando dies. Mando would be theoretically dying around the time of the sequel trilogy. He would be a very old man at that point. So he would be close to a death. He would be like in his 80s at that point. So he could die. And then I thought maybe that's when Grogu decides to pick up his Jedi path again, now that his father's gone. But as we've been watching this story, all these Mandos are dying for that little fucker to be a Mando. So it kind of does become a huge dick move if he leaves now, I think. So I don't know what to make of it, especially after Paz.
Yep,
What Paz
checks out.
says.
Checks
Paz
out,
is like,
Jason.
so much have died for this little green fucker. Is basically what he says. So it's like if he just goes, well, I'm having a midlife crisis or a quarter life crisis.
Come out, bitch.
Time for Grogu to go train with a sexy British woman because that's what Grogu's about these days. And you're like, okay, bye, Grogu. You know,
and then
maybe
he's Grogu Skywalker. He takes the name.
yeah, I'm Grogu Skywalker now.
You all laugh. You all laugh, but my shit talking has ended up more accurate than a lot of your lore predictions. Just letting you all know.
Hey,
Like,
hey.
Careful.
Watch
my,
it.
My shit talking ends up more accurate than you'd think. How many times, Jason, since you've known me, have you gone, motherfucker, with shit talking? And look at this, son of a bitch. Yeah, that happens.
You do get it, but it's like it's with huge caveats. Like you wanted the Mando movie, but you wanted them to get back together in the movie.
But that's the price of being a Star Wars fan. Everything comes with a giant asterisk next to it, like a huge caveat, you know.
But it's gonna
I've learned that. That's why when people are like, "Are you excited?" I'm like, "No," because they went and did the fucking thing I always knew. They did a big asterisk, so it's like, "Oh, Rob wanted this." I'm like, I didn't want a fucking Avengers movie. I wanted them to resolve the Mando story in a movie to set up the next storyline, which could have been the restoration. And then you take a couple seasons to tell that story and you actually build it. Not do it all in fucking one season, right? Have everyone sit at a dinner table, make it all good with some exposition, throw some amazing visual effects over it and call it a day. It's not what I asked. It's not the same thing. By the way, the visual effects on all this are top notch. I mean, at this point, I'm just watching it to see what they're capable of doing. I'm like, take note, because when they don't do this, I'm going to complain. Once you set up all this shit, you can't go back to Kenobi, right? Go look at Kenobi after watching this episode. Get back to me. So all those people who told me, Rob, you're overthinking it. The visual effects are fine back on the Kenobi episodes, and go listen to them. If you think that didn't happen, watch this episode and you can see what I'm talking about. Like, this stuff is amazing. I mean, like, it's crazy amazing. But we got a hovering snow speeder, you know, for a visual effect fight in Kenobi. That was looked like a bad section out of a Sega arcade Star Wars game. You know, remember the arcade Star Wars game where it was like a blaster game, but they didn't want to give you a blaster, they gave you a stick. Remember that one? You had to control the blast. Well, it could have been a light gun.
You're talking about like, Star Wars arcade?
Yeah. It should have been you should have had guns, but they gave you had to use a stupid flight stick. Like, I've never seen anything like it. The caveat. That was the caveat, Jason.
Yeah. It was a fun game, though. I was pretty good at it for a while.
Yeah, everyone says Kenobi has heart garbage effects now, but when I was the one complaining about it then, you guys weren't so likable to me with that. You go, I don't know, you're overthinking it. Oh, it's so good. No, it's a TV show. I don't know what you're talking about. But now, okay. I don't forget, Jason.
No. For me, it's that it like the truth is that the majority of the Kenobi complaints are about things that are not actually important to the central point of those scenes. I care about what the point of the scenes were. And so some of the times I'm just like, yeah, it didn't look that good, but obviously it wasn't like really the point. And I don't like that it doesn't look good, but it doesn't mean, you know, oh God, throw it all out now. But I also am of the camp that a lot of the visuals in Kenobi are unacceptable, and that we shouldn't be like we shouldn't act like it's acceptable because it's not. It could have been a lot better. And like when we see what they're doing here, based on, as you say, comparatively speaking, it's fucking dog shit. It looks like it's like the difference between a movie made in 2023 and Attack of the Clones, you know. And it's like, come on, we've gotten a lot better at
a year
this.
of one another.
Yeah,
they're within a year.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
and it's like from a production standpoint, they guard everything, so like they don't talk about like what real budgets are and stuff on this stuff out openly. But it's like if I heard, we're making Kenobi and we're making it for 60 million, I would be like, well, yeah, they made it. It's like it's a fucking A24 version of a Star Wars TV show. I could at least be like, that's what it is. But because they don't do that, we gotta hold it all at the same like level. It's fucking weird, you know. But yeah, I'm hoping that between like Andor and Acolyte and this and stuff like that, I'm hoping that that's behind us now. I kind of think it is. I think that was also an experiment. I think that was how far can we take this stuff? you know, how quick can we do it? You know what I mean? I think they were figuring out a lot of where does the audience go? No.
That's what
And
Boba Fett should have been for. And I can kind of prove it
mhm.
because when the Boba Fett appears in Mando season 2, it looks like it was shot out like literally on the same backyard that $6 million man fights were shot on. Like it's just some rocks out in Simi Valley, you know, some guys jumping off rocks. But because the action's dope, you go, all right, you know what I mean? Not the best cinematography or location, but man, fucking Boba Fett's kicking ass. So the
Mhm.
place to do that experiment would have been Boba Fett if they could have upped the action quite a bit.
Yeah.
I don't think it's appropriate to do that with Kenobi. I'm not going to make this the anti-Kenobi rant, but it's just not
Yeah.
appropriate to do that experiment with something where a whole generation of kids been waiting 20 years to see more of their favorite action character from a series of movies that they grew up with. I just don't think that's appropriate, you know? Like, and so
it was like all of the moments that it usually shit the bed too were moments that didn't need to be there.
right.
Like the snow speeder thing, we didn't need Wade. We didn't need the rescue. We didn't care about that they died. We didn't need the snow speeder. We could have like literally just have had them snuck out in an Imperial ship on a trash. They could have got onto a load lifter that was going to go drop trash in space or some shit, and then had them like get out that way. Like there was just all of these little things that could have been done, but somebody said, "Let's make it really exciting and put the snow speeder." Oh yeah, and then but we're not going to pay for it. So it just bad idea. But yeah, but like that fucking shot of that barge with the crusty old guys on it, like that thing coming at you, that was like Wrath of Khan and fucking uh um fucking Mad Max, all of that, like that 80s like design, like in fucking stellar, like that was so fucking rad, and that was one of the best shots they've ever done. I think I loved it.
I just wish that those guys that we could really tell a difference in their culture, like they were more Marauder like or more George Millery in a way of their attitudes. So you can see these different personalities really clashing, not just being told they might clash because, you know, Bo-Katan didn't do the right thing once a long time ago, but really they kind of will. So I just like
those guys though, that like that wasn't their thing, is that they have been living a post-apocalyptic society, but they're not like the fucking dude from Mad Max or something like that. They're
I don't say they have to go around going witness me and shit like that, but they could have a little bit. Like Khan had a different, when you're trapped on SETI Alpha 6 for 30 years by yourself, or I guess in this case, what, 6 years, 10 years, something like that. Like, how long has it been since all this shit went down? Was it 10 years or 20? Was it?
I think it's been since before. Meg, was it? When does that happen, Meg? Does it happen before A New Hope? Or no, it happens. It happens. Yeah.
Sorry, what was your question?
When is Mandalore bombed? Like in the timeline?
Mandalore, if I'm not mistaken, happens between Rebels and Mando season 1.
So it happens. So either
years.
during the original trilogy, or like about a year before it, right? That would probably be about that, before Luke.
Good question.
Yeah. So, anyways, yeah, but we're looking at probably a good 10, anywhere between 10 and 15 years, maybe. I think.
Yeah, I mean, look how crazy people got just sitting in their rooms during COVID. I'm just saying, if you're living on Morlocksville, right? That planet, you know, is filled with Morlocks and vampire robots and glass dinosaurs just might destroy your entire barge and randomly. Like this shit, just weird shit happens to you every day over there. They'd be a little more on edge. That's all I'm trying to say. They'd be a little bit more Trevor from Grand Theft Auto 5 than Mike from Grand Theft Auto 5. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. I mean, probably, but also don't think it's like the point.
Oh yeah, it doesn't matter, right? Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Well, no, yeah. I mean, those guys, I mean, their experience doesn't actually matter. I mean, we're gonna be real about it.
Doesn't really matter.
No, no, it doesn't mean that.
I'm not saying it should. I'm not being facetious. It doesn't matter in this series. I think it should matter, but it doesn't. So.
I mean, yeah, I don't. It depends on what, if they're going to do anything with them or not. Like if we did devote time to showing that, and then we never see them again, then I'd be like, I don't really. Why'd you do that? What was the point of that? You know,
like Pershing.
No, on that one right there, he's coming back. That isn't done. They say he's indisposed for now. So he's going to get his memories back. I think that's going to be a huge catalyst actually for stuff. Like I said, I think he's going to start getting his memories back. And I think when he doesn't know why he's hiding a secret, when he can't really remember why he's hiding the secret, and he starts talking, I think it's going to start to tip off people like the Carson Teva types who like know shit's not right. I think that's what it could be.
Carson's out there.
Carson's still out there, but I think he's going to start. He's going to come to, and he's going to start talking at some point, and I think it's going to start to drop clues that shit's not right. Shit isn't well, and on a side note too, I was thinking like the Jack Black character and all that, like that stuff that happened with Lizzo and like making like Grogu a knight. I'm wondering if in a future episode that pays off in like a fun way. Like, do the robots reinforce their knight? Like in a battle in that movie? I don't know. You know what I'm saying though? Like, could there be something where because that's the thing about that Star Wars movie that I don't know. Like, I love the idea of the movie of all of those things coming together in a big Star Wars battle. Like, that sounds really cool, but I don't like the Avengers movies. I like the single character movies. I'm a weirdo. I think it's like just a bunch of emptiness when I watch those Avengers films for the most part. And so I'm curious if I even like that movie in the end, because if it follows the Avengers thing really hard, might not be for me. Can't lie.
Yeah, I like how he turned down being a Jedi Knight to be crowned a knight by Jack Black and Lizzo. I like that.
Oh, well, and that was the
idea.
when Jedi gets mentioned at some point, like it's said right in this episode, and it does cut over to him. It does like acknowledge his reaction to that. So I keep wondering, like, maybe it's
what, Jason?
Mm-hmm.
Ezra is the key to all of this, because in chapter 17, Grogu sees the Purgle, and then in this episode he holds a melon fruit.
Right.
Both things are Ezra related.
Mm-hmm,
I think
that
they're teasing. I also have this crazy theory that Gideon wants Din for his blood, and he set the trap in the mines of Mandalore, that creature, and now that he's being detained, he's going to get his blood because he knows that he's a Bridger.
Yeah, that's possible.
Which also explains why, and he knows that from Thrawn.
Right.
I hear you, Meg, but in my experience, it ain't that deep, kid. You know what I mean? Like,
I know.
It ain't that kind of movie. To quote
You're absolutely
Harrison,
right,
it ain't that kind of movie.
They don't think this far ahead. They don't think of these things.
Yeah,
but maybe if Meg says it, they'll hear it and they'll be like, "Hey, hey."
Yeah. Right now, they'll just throw it in the edit. Like, sure.
Mumbo Jimbo became a channel member. Thanks, Mumbo. I appreciate it, man. Yeah, I kind of think that, like, if it wasn't for that ego of his of wanting to clone himself, it would have made the most sense to like get Din's blood and then to have used like how the cloners went for Jango Fett. It's like the best bounty hunter in the galaxy. Let's make our clone army off of that guy, right? That makes sense.
A question, because I'm stupid. Right?
Okay, stupid. Go ahead, stupid.
So stupid has a question. I need to make this a new segment.
All right, hey, stupid's gonna say something, so everybody quiet down.
Yeah. Shut up for stupid. Stupid's gonna think. Like, so.
Go ahead, stupid.
So he built the Dark Troopers and then built clones of himself, or has he been building clones? How long does it take to make a clone of yourself? Like, did he get arrested, broke out of jail, went down to Mandalore, built all that shit up, and built clones in like a couple months? Like, okay. I'm trying to understand the timeline for him making clones of himself.
We have a couple of different possibilities here. Okay. Yeah. If we go with the traditional,
bots or whatever you want to call it.
Well, if we go with the traditional Kaminoan cloning, the clones age at double the rate of they were programmed to age accelerated. So double time. So he's been doing this for over 10 years. So he could have made the clones of himself 10 years ago and they could be 20 now. Or
so why hasn't he shown these clone troopers up to now? Other than that, they didn't think of it. I get the reality is Favreau and them probably didn't think of this until like a year or two ago, probably 2 years ago. But I'm saying in this stuff, like if he's had the clones this whole time and Beskar armor and all that shit, why didn't he just use it from the beginning? I don't.
Okay, but there's like two parts to this though. The so the Dark Trooper program is in development early on. We see it. We see that he uses them. Those ones are the current gen. He's working on the next gen one still. But when Luke Skywalker shows up and cuts through them like they're butter, he realizes Luke Skywalker's a problem. The Jedi are a problem. And I'm going to need to go and make this iteration out of Beskar from Mandalore. That way the Jedi can't just hit them with the lightsabers and kill them.
So why didn't he just build the Dark Troopers out of Beskar? He knew Luke Skywalker was around. The dude blew up a Death Star.
Luke Skywalker hadn't arrested him up to that point. Luke Skywalker hadn't. But Luke Skywalker hadn't been a problem for him.
You know, a little Jedi took out the story is that a little Jedi took out the whole Death Star and defeated the Emperor, right? That's the fable. Because Rey's playing with Skywalker toys. That's the legend that's been going around.
Yeah.
Again, I'm just like, why don't you just build a Dark Trooper out of Beskar? Well, then you can say, well, because Beskar's a hard thing to get. That's why Mando has a hard time. It's so rare when he gets a piece, right? But is it because he built clones? Like the whole reason why Beskar is, see, it only makes sense if someone else was making clones and he was building Dark Troopers and he took their clones. But since he's doing the clones and the Dark Troopers, I don't know, man. Like, I'm just trying to. I love Giancarlo. I really do. I've loved him for a long time before Breaking Bad as an actor. I think he's
and you love chicken.
Good.
You go to Albertsons and you buy chicken. So I know you like the chicken and the chicken man.
This character doesn't know whether he's going to be a thinking bad guy or a physical bad guy. They don't seem to know what they want to do, and they try to like have it both ways. And that so rarely works, Jason. It's so like Apollo Creed was not a thinking bad guy. You know what I mean? Like, well, he was more of a thinking bad guy than say Mr. T. Mr. T was a physical force, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna take your woman. I'm gonna beat you the fuck up, right? Like that.
Oh, and she would have loved it too. One night with Mr. T.
And then Drago was a fucking serious physical force, right?
Yeah, he's a monster, man.
And I couldn't tell you what the other villains were in the other Rocky movies because it didn't matter. Like they lost the ball too.
I'm Tommy. Wasn't one
curious.
Tommy and 5?
Tommy. It's just like
Tommy Gunn.
Giancarlo when he's like he portrays, he'd be like a great Professor X. He's so likable. I wish he was a villain you liked instead of him trying to smarmy it up. You know what I'm saying? Like, because you like him. You want to see him win. We've been through a whole nother series where you're like, I like this bad guy's killing lots of people and he's wrecking homes with his meth, but I like him. And I just,
it's charming.
It seems to me like there's if you ever listen to the audio commentary for Star Trek, The Wrath of Khan, was it Nicholas Meyer's a director, and he says when the first day on set he's with Ricardo Montalban, and Ricardo Montalban was playing it, he says, at the top, which means he was going full ham. He was hammering it up basically.
If you're at 10, there's
and so he lets him do the take, and so Nicholas Meyer says, hey, let me speak to you. He's like, if you show them your top, you have nowhere left to go, is what he tells them. And so Ricardo Montalban goes, oh, it's good. Oh, you're directing me. Yes, this is X. Like, he has a way of placating directors.
I always say behind every great top is a great bottom.
Hey, I'm not going to disagree with that. But that's why Khan starts to whisper more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's why it's so weird when you see Cumberbatch yell, I'm Khan! Like, that's not what Khan. That's not. The only time Khan ever lost is like even when he's dying, he isn't yelling and shit. He's like my last breath, I whispered and I just feel like Giancarlo is more of a Khan. Like he could be a guy who's physical because Khan can be physical, but he's still a thinking dude. You know what I mean? And they're trying to show him, look, I got armors and I got clones, I got this, I got that. And I don't know, man. It just feels like feels like they wanted a Thrawn. They didn't do a Thrawn, and now that they're getting a Thrawn, they got to get rid of this would-be Thrawn. Does that make sense? Like, it feels like...
But he did look fucking badass in that helmet, and but I do see it like when you get down to it, like that's why I'm saying like these things in the end they don't sit together. Like you can't have that character and Thrawn together without one
I
of them
agree.
killing the other, like at some point or whatever. It's like they're going to turn on each other.
Which
Jason,
is why I had hoped.
Go ahead.
I'll let you finish. Go ahead, Meg.
Oh, sorry. Like, we have canon novels like Bloodline and Lost Stars, which explain, the New Republic's fall. So I kind of feel like eventually they have to get Gideon and the Imperial remnants out of the way.
Yeah.
And Gideon's
but that's what I had hoped
any day of the week.
But that's when I was saying after season 2 they should have gone with the Mando movie so they can wrap up the Gideon bit in a movie and then you move forward to the next villain, which would have been a Thrawn. This overlapping of Gideon and Thrawn, and now they're like sort of rivals with one another. On theory, sounds like an interesting thing when you put on the board. The reality is it kind of makes Giancarlo look a little dumber because Thrawn's pretty smart. Because you have to know who he's talking about. The average audience person doesn't know the fuck General Thrawn is. Like my wife's like, who?
That's true.
Like I haven't even bothered to tell her who General Thrawn is. But for the fans, it just it undercuts this guy. Like they don't need to ever meet, is what I'm trying to say. Like, but here we are.
Yeah. Oh, this was an article today that came out, a casting bit. It's kind of weird because they're acting like Ahsoka's still filming or something. But Wes, Jatham, possibly Enoch and Ahsoka. Yeah, that's what when I read that article, I was like, I bet you he's Enoch because he's supposed to be Thrawn's right-hand man. And we know Paleon's not the right hand, but I heard he had a bodyguard, and the bodyguard's name is Enoch. Gold face, looks like Destro from G.I. Joe, but with the helmet on, kind of thing. And so I'm guessing that's him too. That's where my mind is at as well, Chris Breezy.
Jason, is this because they killed Rook in Rebels?
Yeah, I would say so. And I think that I don't know for certain, but I'm guessing this is a character that he acquires in that other place, where he's been. I'm thinking this is a person that he meets there and then becomes his bodyguard there.
Is this the buff C-3PO guy?
Mm-hmm. I don't know how buff he is, but yeah. This is the gold-faced man like Destro from G.I. Joe, but gold. That's what I've been told. So. Yeah, but anyways,
a bit ahead of her time, Jason.
Oh well, I mean, she probably seen shirts with Destro on it, or you could just Google it.
I did have to Google it. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, I guarantee.
But had you ever seen him before? Had you ever
No.
seen that guy? Okay, yeah, he's kind of. But anyways, yeah. I think that like with what they have set up. If these characters do kind of coexist, if Gideon and Thrawn do share some amount of time together, I do think that's why he has the helmet on. That's why he's making these violent extensions of himself, and not even just to fight Thrawn. Let's just pretend like that's not on the table for him yet. It does set him apart as being this other thing than to what Thrawn is, and it
does worry me about the writing of Thrawn.
Yeah.
And for folks out there who are like, oh, Rob's just being a pessimist. No, Jason was the one who argued with me about this a year and a half ago.
No, I've always said
Jason was the one who told me that Filoni and them would be the best arbiters of writing a Thrawn character, given how Filoni writes. And I'm like, I don't know how he fucking writes, so I couldn't tell you.
No,
I do know this though.
A Gilroy should be doing a Thrawn thing, and with that, they're going to do it is going to be a lot of like posing as being intelligent, posing as being a master chess player, but never really like laying it out as a chess thing.
It'll be like when we watch Mandos play chess, and you're like, all right,
Can I propose something to Rob?
Yeah.
So I think Rob is absolutely right, and I think it goes back to this thing of like, there seems to be inconsistencies with Thrawn between Zahn's original expanded universe books, between some of those little spin-off young adult novels, and then the recent canon books and Star Wars Rebels. Because in some of them you're like, well, Thrawn's not a villain. He's doing what's right for his species, exploiting the Empire. But we're going back to the place of heir to the Empire where it's like, he's just the next bad guy after Palpatine's death.
Right. And I would also like, not to like, I didn't dig those books. I started them and they weren't for me. But the thing I would say is that like you could make the same exact argument about Anakin Skywalker and Darth Vader. They don't become Darth Vader they think they're becoming Darth Vader for the right reason. and then they end up going down a different path of power and greed and selfishness and stuff like that. So there's a chance that like all of these things can be reconciled. They can all be true.
Hey,
and
Moriarty is in some
Yeah.
cases smarter than Sherlock Holmes. You can still fuck up. Your ego can get the best of you. I'm not
Sure.
saying a smart person has to always outsmart them. In the case of Breaking Bad, Giancarlo's character, I don't like calling him Chicken Man. That's rude.
Chicken Man. Chicken Man.
Whatever. He fucks up because of his own hubris. You know what I mean? Like he gets blowed up simply because
the Chickalorian. That's his name, the Chickalorian.
Yeah. You're gonna remind me of Chiclets. My favorite. They used to sell Chiclets. It's a whole thing in Tijuana, folks.
I went to Ensenada once. Got off a boat, and these kids are just like swarming me. I was like, "Here, just take the money, and you keep the Chiclets. Just leave me alone."
Did you ever get the Chico sticks, or like these orange? It was like the Twix. Not a Twix.
A Butterfinger. It's like a Butterfinger.
Butterfinger is the inside of a Butterfinger, but it was just that chocolate. Inside of a butter. It was like Chico stick or Chico stick.
Chico stick. Yeah.
Anyway, what I'm trying to say is, I don't care that he has to lose. Obviously, he has to somehow lose or get trapped in another time vortex for to wait for Ray's sequel, because that's the way they went with those films. The thing is this writing team is not capable of creating a character who comes off as intelligent as Thrawn does in the books. And I reread Heir to the Empire, those 3 books, and Outbound Flight, and the other one, those two, Outbound Flight, and the other one, I always forget the name of that one, Spectre of the Future, Vision of the Past. Okay. So like I read those at least every couple years, because I enjoy that character.
Yeah,
Sherlock Holmes is like probably my top 1 or 2 characters of all time.
Mm-hmm.
So like I really think that's well done. I didn't like the Thrawn book. I tried. So like, and that's written by Timothy Zahn. So I'm like, you got to find someone who's like at their peak writing power, right? Like they have to be. It doesn't mean age. Just they have to be at their peak form for writing this stuff for it to work. Otherwise, it may as well just be Gideon or some other new alien. You're just it's fan service at that point. And that's the thing that I fear, like I don't want it to be.
What I've always said is that like number one, Heir to the Empire, you could love it all you want for all of the nostalgia, for it being like one of the only things that was like kind of neat in that era, but it's not that good. It's just straight up not that.
It's not cinematic. It's not a movie.
It's not cinematic, and it's an okay book. It's not that good of a book. It's rose tinted glasses. It's fucking nostalgia. It's when you were thirsty, it gave you a hand job. That's all that it ever was. It wasn't love.
No, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. Except that an idea of a really smart, intelligent, and somewhat compassionate Imperial villain next to these rebels who are trying to become politicians was a great premise. But if you put it next to, say if it was just a standalone Star Wars book, and you put it next to, what's the guy that wrote the Phantom Menace novelization, the fantasy writer?
Terry Brooks.
It's really Terry Brooks. Terry Brooks' Phantom Menace book is a much stronger Star Wars book than Heir to the Empire. You can hate me all you want, but it's better than the movie. It's better than the movie.
Arguably, like, yes.
Yeah. And it's like, oh man, dude, maybe it's just one of those things where you're like, okay, but the ideas in Heir of the Empire are ripe for plucking.
Pluck them. Pluck them.
But you got to pluck the smartness of that character. If you don't do that, then it's just like, what are you doing? Like
yeah,
that's the point.
That's like the whole thing is you got to have some twist, and you got to have like, it has to be really convincing, and it has to fool you in the narrative. You have to admire him in that narrative. And I feel like what I've heard from the Ahsoka series is it sounds more to me like he's amassed a bunch of power through various people and things and alliances, and that's what enables him. And so I don't know if that ends up, but it's just like what they're doing with Gideon at the same time. Gideon's like, oh, I got these clones all of myself now, and I got this new black helmet. I look cool as fuck. Like everybody thought I looked stupid before. Now I look cool.
The only character I've seen in modern fiction that comes across as smart as Thrawn is Giancarlo's character in Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
And so when they announced him as a villain in Mando, I'm like, oh, they must be doing like a Thrawn surrogate, if not Thrawn himself, you know, like,
yeah,
because blue alien can be played by anybody, you know. I was like, maybe that's where they're gonna go, but then, you know, I just got to line up with the cartoon. I'm like, okay,
but
whatever.
That
but
was
you know, like,
that was Vince Gilligan and a good performer,
right?
That's
Vince
the
Gilligan
difference,
and his
a good
whole crew
performer.
of people.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Remember,
Guys,
Vince
I
Gilligan had a
do
writer's-
have to go.
Okay, bye, Meg.
But can I
Thanks
ask you
for-
one
Bye, Meg.
question?
Yeah.
Heir to the Empire or The Force Awakens?
Well, The Force Awakens, easily.
What about you, Rob?
Heir to the Empire.
Interesting.
You just had to leave us on a fight, didn't you, Meg? Didn't
I
you?
did.
No.
I'm gonna say
It's not
Force
even
Awakens.
close. It's by a mile. By a mile.
Well, no, come on.
By a mile.
Nah. Crazy.
By a mile.
Crazy now.
By a
It's
mile.
crazy talk.
Thank
But-
you
but-
for having me, though, guys.
Yeah. Anytime you want to hang out, Meg, you're always welcome.
Thank you,
Thanks,
everyone.
Meg.
Bye.
But yeah, no, but I mean that's my whole thing with like where this is going is I think that they seem to be setting, you know how we talked about the Ahsoka series, right? Where we have Thrawn, we have his witches, we have his fallen Jedi, we have his undead troopers, and I'm guessing they're setting up, and now we have our Black Mandalorian Imperial Mando with Gideon. I think he's sort of being added to that repertoire of evil. You know, I'm guessing his collection.
It comes across to me less like a plan and more like when you're, and I'm going to just bring this up because something I had to deal with a lot when I was a kid was-
SummerSlam. You think of SummerSlam?
No,
All the bad guys get
Star Wars
together?
role
Oh,
playing.
okay.
The Star Wars West End role playing game.
Mhm.
All right. My buddy, and then they would play it. And I remember I never got a chance to go to their houses, right? So I didn't get to play. But finally, after years and years and years, by my senior year in high school, my dad was like, oh, you can finally, your friends from the 4th grade, you can go spend the night at their house now. Thanks, Dad. So like after waiting 8 years to spend the night at a friend's house, we played Star Wars West End role playing game.
Okay.
And I'm sitting there playing it, and the dude would bring out his character, and she was a Force Jedi. She had all this lightsaber. She had her own Star Destroyer. She had a fleet of shit. It's like this Mando episode where the Mando's got everything. They got all this stuff, but there's no story there. It's just stuff that you're amassing to show, look at all this cool shit I got. And I really pulled away from that kind of storytelling, you know, and moved into a different way to set up like a story, which, you know, was give people less things, make the situation, you got to go actually get something and get out. And the part of it is like survival or striving or helping, or not like amassing the amount of toys I have to go beat up your other amount of toys that you have. I mean, those armies on a battlefield can work. Obviously they have in stuff like Lord of the Rings, but I say 9 times out of 10, they don't work. How many other movies that show giant armies amassing on the fields have worked other than Lords of the Rings? Not a lot.
Well,
like Phantom Menace got pretty close when you saw the droids, but the Gungans aren't really. I didn't really.
I don't think if this goes just how I'm assuming it goes today, I don't think that's the model. I think the model would be closer to the Avengers films when you have like a bunch of different superheroes of bad guys and good guys, like fighting in like big battles. And I'll be honest, that stuff doesn't work for me. It completely loses me in those Avengers movies when they are all on the battlefield. And I see everybody getting really excited and I'm happy for them, but I'm just fucking dead inside. You know what I mean? Though, like I just don't care. I just don't connect to it. And
I'm not talking about the property. I'm talking about just amassing toys
no,
on a battlefield isn't enough.
But what I'm saying
it'll
is,
be as hollow as it would be if you and I just amass toys on a battlefield, doesn't?
No, but that's the thing is when I saw like that, those like the Avengers films, and like that happens, people are like there's my sports team, there's my hero, there's my boy, you know. Who's the guy from Ted Lasso who's really good, like they're like
Zava.
star player? Yeah, Zava. There's Zava. Everybody's just like, it's Zava, you know. And
but
like,
when you take 30 films to get there, then fine. But when you're like, every time we meet a new villain, we're going to show you how great they are because, hey, by the way, here's the list of inventory I have that makes me fucking cool, is not enough.
Yeah. Oh, no. I mean, they definitely have to tie it together in that script more. But remember, this is going to be over What chapter was this? This was 23, so we're gonna have 24. So this will be 30, 38.
I don't fucking know, man.
There will be
Dude, so many chapters.
there will be about 38 to 46 episodes at least before we get that film. So
37? You think Favreau would do 37? He would do 37, right?
37
37
dicks for you to
chapters.
suck.
37 chapters.
Yeah. I mean, no, it's completely possible that, you know, and when you see that movie and all of the stuff comes together, you're like, yeah, you know what I mean? It does. It might work. I mean, it might just be a fuck ton of fun. At the end of the day, that's what I'm gonna guess that they're going for. Because like this Rey story, I don't think it's like the hardest thing to do in the world, comparatively speaking to like past Star Wars endeavors.
You say it's an easy win?
I kind of do. I kind of think for them, when there is no easy win, the premise is the easy sell, and so I kind of think that it's a fun story. It could be a fun story to go on pretty easily, and so, anyways, where I'm going with this is I can see it working. I don't know if it'll work for me, but you know, and for the record. The last time I read Heir to the Empire was when they did that like nice one around 2013, 2014, like that like nice edition. And I sat down there and I read it, you know, and objectively, and I'm like, actually, and I also read it before The Force Awakens was in production because it was rumored, and I was just like, you know, let me take a look at it, you know, and I'm like, no, this doesn't work as a film. This doesn't work to be like translated to a film. Timothy Zahn, he did a great job with hard rules at a time when Star Wars had not been expanded at all, and he did a compelling story at the time.
I'm not saying it worked as a film. I'm saying that if I had to go for
I know
the story elements that were brought up in Heir to the Empire compared to The Force Awakens and where The Force Awakens goes by the end of Rise of Skywalker, I'll take the Heir to the Empire story any day of the week. Because The Force Awakens doesn't utilize any of its characters to any great extent. It just becomes a question of whether Rey is important or not. And I'm like, she's important if she does shit. This whole her whole quest of is Rey somebody, nobody, is solved in one film. It doesn't matter. Move on. You don't make a trilogy out of this. There's got to be more.
Well,
and at least Heir to the Empire has the politics. It has Coruscant. It doesn't have some weird Hosnian Prime gimme. It has a villain with a real motive. Or an actual, like, we know who that is. We know what that character's after. We know what he's trying to do. We don't know who Snoke is. We still don't know who Snoke. Now we're like told Snoke is some weird Gideon clone for all I fucking know.
No,
I mean, for all we know,
it's a Palpatine puppet.
Everyone's got clones, man. Like, clones are everywhere. They never stop.
No, but here's
should be called Clone Wars. The whole series, really.
The whole thing is Heir to the Empire is here, and the other two books that fill it out are like down here, way lower. The quality of the books does not continue through that trilogy. That whole trilogy is not good. That's the other
still
part.
Better than the sequel trilogy story.
And then, but once again, it's apples and oranges. You know what I mean?
You're the one who brought it up. Which one?
I didn't bring it up.
Better?
Meg asked, not me.
Oh,
I didn't do it.
All right.
But I don't usually think that it's a good idea to take a film or to take a book and put it to a film. I honestly I almost don't think I really ever like it for the most part. It's really
I've never seen one work.
And like
the only one I've seen work is Drive, and Drive is not the book. It's not. It's still not the book. Like it's a truncated version of the book.
Different.
I read Drive 5 times a year. Like so.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's like the stuff in Heir to the Empire I like is strange stuff. The moments that stand out to me are like Leia being in bed pregnant, and the light switch is there. And she it's like that's the kind of stuff that we're working. The
assassination attempt on Kishak is great. High tension.
Because Sheik has some respect for the Wookiees, friend. But yeah,
Kishak.
No. As a kid, I thought it was Kashyyyk. But anyways, it's like it's all of that stuff is the moments that really truly work aren't moments that would make it into the films too. Either.
Luke Skywalker like actually using his hand to break out of a thing. You know, Luke Skywalker being a little MacGyver.
That's the best part. That's like one of the best Luke parts. And so it's like I do think you could take all three of those and adapt them into one film, like all three of that, you know what I mean, into one film with all of the parts and Star Wars speeded up, and you could make it. You
But
could
Thrawn's
probably
such a
make it
cool
work.
villain. If you're able to write him that way, you don't want to get rid of him in one film.
Yeah.
And while I'm afraid of, and this isn't a matter of like whether they translate something to a movie or not, I could care less. It's can you get this intelligent fucking character across in live action? Right now, I'm on the sense that they can't. Okay?
Mhm.
And that's just based off Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau are both credited on this episode. Okay? And that means they both, I don't care whether Filoni's credited or not, they've had to have worked out this weird scheme of dark troopers and clones and blah 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 gobbledygook nonsense that I don't give two shits about. I give a shit about when if Gideon has a personal like this fucking man won't get out my fucking ass. I'm gonna teach him a lesson.
But
I
Rob,
like his he get Cat Mayhab in that way. But this
But
whole
it's-
like I gotta amass bombers to get us something to do something because I'm gonna whatever. It's just not. It's just not.
Well,
it's
no,
not-
well, no. That's that. I mean, functionally, that was to show us that that was big. Not to get into bombers. I mean, that's going to play into the next
But
part.
didn't he have bombers? Because he was the one who bombed. He bombed Bo-Katan's castle, right?
We don't actually know who did that.
He had to have because he's in this. He's in the region.
We don't know why he would do that. We don't know if he did it. I mean, I'm not saying he probably did it. I mean, it makes
It's
sense. he
weird
did
that
it.
we still don't know what that's about, and more than likely it will never be addressed.
Well,
That's a really.
I think they're
crazy
going to fight
thought.
next episode, so I think he might say, "I took a shit on your house." He might say that. You know,
But
what I
then
mean?
he already had bombers, so why does he need more bombers?
Rob, can you
Maybe
ever
he
have
just likes
enough?
to collect
Can,
bombers.
can you ever have
You know
enough
what it is?
bombers?
You know, I'll tell you what it is. This is where it comes across to me. It comes across like a kid who's like, I want more of the stormtrooper. Do you keep getting the stormtrooper toys?
What
This is a guy
happens?
who wants more toys.
What happens when he asked for 3 Praetorians? Exactly what you just did. That's what that guy did to him.
But what did I tell you? Remember when they said, why do you need 3? And I said, because that's how much they budgeted for. They budgeted that fight for 3. And that's exactly why you needed 3. It would have been, if he had said, I need a Praetorians, and they go, you can get 3. And he goes, fair enough. Like, fine. But when he goes 3, I'm like, man, this is just like, because that's where, I don't know, man. Like, guys, like, if you love it, I understand why. You know? For me, I'm like, it's a good tech demo.
I actually
for what ILM can pull off on a budget.
Okay,
Like,
that isn't why that happened though. The reason that they went with 3 is because it had to be a fight with Paz Vizsla and he's slow. And then if they had him completely circled with 5, he would have
But
just
Gideon
been
wouldn't know he was
instant.
going to have him fight Paz Vizsla. Jon
No.
Favreau knew he was going to have him fight Paz Vizsla.
I know that, and that's why
That's
I'm
my
telling
complaint.
you. It wasn't necessarily.
I agree with
budgetary,
you. That's
yeah.
what's happening, but I disagree with that.
Yeah.
That should be there in the first place.
Yeah, but that's how you're gonna set
The
it
character
up.
shouldn't be asking for things simply because the writer of the script knows that that's how much he's gonna. It's not. It's so come on, man.
Yeah, I don't really know why he could have just said Praetorians. I mean, that would have been
Yeah.
fine. And yeah, I'm with you on that. But I
So
also
weird.
don't like. I also think that the episode is really fucking good, and like this 3 minutes of it that aren't really that important are like really ruining the whole thing for you.
I don't consider the episode to be that great for me.
Yeah, I
but
thought it was.
I
thought it was
understand.
stellar.
I
I
know.
thought it was really.
I could
good.
see why people would. I could see why people. For me, it's just more of the same. I don't see any difference.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not
Minus
saying it's
the
fucking. It's not Andor.
cameos.
It's not. I'm not saying it's Andor writing.
I'm
or
not even saying
something like
Andor.
that,
I'm just
you
saying
know?
it's more of whatever they've been making for season 3.
It's-
I'm not even doing that.
it's
I don't like
exa-
that. Every time now we got to bring it up. I have
No.
to go and bring up some other thing I like as
No,
compared to this.
it's-
I'm just saying, and compared to itself, it's just more of the same.
It's more.
I'm not seeing
I
any
think
difference.
I think it's like a good version of the same shit they've been making for 3 seasons though. On this one,
And
right
I
here
can totally.
is
I
the first
totally
2
give-
seasons. If this one,
Yeah.
if we had never got like the fucking Lizzo bullshit and everything, and the last one and the Jack Black bullshit, we just went in the Coruscant episode, and it was just like I'd say, or if I just saw this episode after seeing season 2, I'd be like, yeah, this is just like the same shit that they've been doing. You know what I mean? On that.
Yeah, and
that
I was
front, so.
unhappy with season 2 with the way they wrote Gideon. I tell you that whole Dark Trooper thing, and I've been very consistent with this, was pretty bad.
Mhm.
And the way he came off was very childish, like in terms of a villain, But
Yeah.
Rob, it's for kids. Okay, all right. So when I tell you it doesn't matter because it's for kids, and you tell me no, you should matter, pick one. Does it matter? Or does it not matter? I don't know which it does. You can't just play devil advocate to Rob because when he doesn't like it or doesn't. When I agree with you, you're right. I guess it doesn't matter because it's for kids. But then when a kid comes on and tells you one episode's total SHIT, right? like maybe not, maybe thinking it's all for kids is not the way to set down the pen to paper, you know?
No, I mean, no, I don't, I agree with you. The it's for kids stuff. I think that's when the only time that point is truly valid is when someone says like he should have reached in and pulled out his intestines and devoured them in front of his family. That's when you're like no, the kids have to be able to watch this too. But also
right.
I
agree with that.
It's for families.
Undercover Brother. When Neil Patrick characters start ripping out people's hearts and shit.
Yeah, it's fucking like Mola Ram is a hard sell, even for Indiana Jones. You know what I mean on the Lucasfilm front. But
I mean that shit was for literally that's a kid's movie. And you rip out a man's heart. So I don't know when people tell me what's for kids. I'm like, I grew up in the '80s. Temple Doom I saw probably more times than Star Wars because they had a minecart. I fucking love that.
To be
movie.
fair though, they just let us get kidnapped, and then they would just put our pictures on milk cartons and call it a day. So
and they ripped out a man's heart while he was alive. So if we're talking about 4 kids in George Lucas land, George Lucas wrote that fucking movie. So I'm telling you right now.
There's a difference between George Lucas's 4 kids when he didn't have kids and George Lucas's 4 kids when he had kids. Completely
I
different.
prefer it when he didn't have the kids. 100%.
Yeah. That's when it was for the for the kid in your heart.
Thank you.
Not for
a kid in your heart or a kid who watches a heart get pulled out.
Yeah.
Sure. I agree with that.
But Justin says, haha, Mig just started to fight and bounce and I'm here for it. Mig is how you write Thrawn.
I think it's payback for me stealing her hat.
That's fair. Yeah, you didn't ask permission. Mumbo says still a 9 out of 10 for The Mandalorian. And that's kind of where I fall on it too, Mumbo. That's how I kind of see it is like for The Mandalorian, this was like a 9 for me. Now, in terms of like, the bigger like swath of what could be, it's probably like a 7. You know what I mean? Like in terms of like if I just against its peers and other television of the time at this time in our year of our Lord 2023, it's it's about 7. But for Mando, it's a 9. And like I feel like Mando's had a lot of like, get out of jail free cards and a lot of easy band-aids. Oh, well, how do we make a big splash where it's just like unforgettable? Okay, Luke Skywalker shows up. Luke shows up, there we go, we're done. And you're just like, oh yeah, like and it's a great moment. I wouldn't change it actually. Oh, I'll probably redo it, but I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't take it away. But at the same time, I can't deny that like that was in place of like a compelling plot thread moment, story moment that was earned. That was borrowing, that was going to the Return of the Jedi bank and taking out a 20 and slapping it down right there. Love the moment though, but it is what it is. Mumbo says hot take: Last Crusade over Raiders of the Lost Ark and the Temple of Doom. You know what? Here's the thing: Raiders of the Lost Ark is by far the best movie Steven Spielberg ever made or will make. It's, I think, generally a perfect film. But
it's up there with Guns of Navarone.
And if my house was on fire right now, though, and I looked up my indie stack, Last Crusade is the one that's coming with me.
Blasphemy.
You know what I mean? It's like, hey, you know what? She's not perfect.
The way they did Marcus,
but she does things that the other one won't do, if you know what I mean.
It's the way, and Marion's a much better character than Ilsa, or whatever her name is.
Oh, Elsa, that fucking Nazi bitch, dude. Fuck her.
Nope. Raiders is better. I think the
opening
is fun, but Raiders is better.
He gets to like let her fall down a hole at the end, And
and I get to watch Nazis' faces melt in real time. So to me, Raiders wins.
Okay. Roll it back. Roll it back.
Fucking world are we living in here?
Just saying, you're Indiana Jones, right? Women,
I get poltergeist and Nazi
go.
melting faces. Come on, man.
I mean, but if you're Indiana Jones, women come and go. Okay, you get to be Indiana Jones for a night. You gonna stay with Elsa or are you gonna stay with Marion?
See, Jason, Marion is more fun. Yeah, I don't. That doesn't mean it's a better movie.
No, but you have to answer that.
Kate Blanchett from fucking Keenan the Crystal Skull is the one I'd rather stay with more than all of them. But I don't think that movie's anywhere on the card. I'll be honest, man. I'd rather stay with Temple of Doom's a better movie if that's the case, because I'll
Ridley
say
Scott,
Ridley
though?
Scott. Yeah, that's more my type.
I'm-
I like him
I'll just go with
psycho.
Elsa.
I like him psycho and feisty. You know what I
Okay.
mean? Like they I like it when they don't like me, Jason.
I'm gonna. So you want Spalka? But I was going to actually. I was trying to throw on you right there. I was expecting you to say Marion, then I was going to say, but it was Marion from Indiana Jones 4. You stupid idiot! And I was going to.
Yeah, but I went with Willie Scott, so you didn't get it.
Yeah. So you know.
Yeah.
She did look pretty good
tried.
in that red anything goes dress.
Are you kidding me? That fucking scene. You know how many times that people don't understand. We used to have this thing called pay-per-view. You have it now, but our version of pay-per-view was way different because it played like 2 movies, and then on the hour they would play a clip from that movie.
Yeah.
So like Little Shop of Horrors plays, they'd play the dentist singing clip, right? Temple of Doom, it was anything goes.
Yeah.
And so on the hour, I ran to the TV to watch that woman sing for an entire summer. Every day,
and every
like,
every now for a time too, they would show like the first minutes of the movie without it being scrambled. Then it would scramble like 5 minutes in or something like that.
Yeah,
so,
they knew how to tease you.
Yeah, they knew how to.
You.
Yeah, I just remember watching Scrambled Spice Channel during my teen years.
We recorded the movie. My dad paid the $30 for it, or it was like $30, I think, at the time.
Really,
it was a lot of money in the '80s. Yeah. We recorded it, so we had it on tape. I still raced to see on the pay-per-view. Yeah.
Well, have you ever noticed like sometimes things are just kind of cooler when it's on TV? Like, do you ever feel that way? Like you see someone on TV, you're like, oh, it's kind of cool. Like I'm watching on TV.
I haven't had TV since 2005. So when Heroes came out or some shit like that around there.
Right. Yeah, I got the YouTube TV, but I let my kids use it at their mom's house. I let my dad use it, then I kind of use it. So I hooked
up a PC to our TV back in 2005 and haven't looked back since.
Right. Yeah. Have they? Like, I haven't had a PC hooked up to the TV since probably 2007, but it always had like kind of like a look to it, like a little like I couldn't explain it.
I think it looks great. I don't have any issues. I don't know what you're talking about. Like,
no, I mean, it used to be like, I think it was like old video, like, video cards, like from years ago. It had just a look.
Yeah, everything looks great. You have a video card on your phone. So, like, you have a video card in your TV now. Like, that thing's processing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but
I just prefer to be able to the web versions of sites work better than these Roku, Tubi, one button weird remote fucking versions of things. So
yeah. If you have a Roku, if you have like I think it's the Roku 4, the UHD Roku 4, that shit is good. A Shield TV, that shit is good. But anything else, this Fire Stick, these little sticks that you put in, that shit runs, apps run like shit. The picture's not as good. It fucks up. It crashes. It's not worth your time. That's what I say. But I got a Shield TV and like that a lot because it's one of the few like set top little streaming boxes that actually has the infrastructure to actually run a browser. So you can watch whatever you want in the browser. Like,
I have a PC that runs a browser just fine.
I know.
That's all I'm saying.
I know.
That's all I'm saying. Like,
but I don't have to have a fucking computer hooked up to my TV, and I don't have to like go on and deal with that shit every single time. I can just hit in the power, a little bit of call. I like to call it convenience around here.
No, I can watch you. I can super chat you right from it. You know what I mean? I don't have any issues. I'm not on the weird mobile app. I can just go on there and give you $2 and complain when you're talking to Best Bet for 6 hours. By the way, whenever you see me tune in and super chat and type to you and Santa, that's generally where I'm doing it. Got my breakfast.
Thank you for the super chat, Justin Westwood. He said thanks. He said thanks, guys. Gave $5 super chat. Thanks, appreciate that, man. But yeah, anyways, I gotta say though, what's her name? Helena from the new movie. She's fucking hot in that trailer. She looks fucking good. Like
Phoebe Waller-Smith.
Bridger. Phoebe Bridgers.
No, Bridge.
Phoebe Bridgers is the singer.
Meg's in your head, Jason.
I know
it's Bridger one freaking time.
I like
how look. I love Meg, but I had to call her out when she was like, "The fruit means something." I'm like, "Get the fuck out of here! You're just fucking with me." Like sometimes I feel, Jason. Like I've hung around. I have British friends. they may sound like they're saying something smart, but sometimes they're fucking with you. Like, you know what I mean? They let that accent act like they're giving you information, but they're really just talking down to us dumb Americans. You know, I know we're dumb, but no, fruit.
Vague.
Like,
No.
like the Cowlickian monkey lizards, whatever, don't mean the Rise of the Hutts are coming back 6 episodes from now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love you, Meg, but you know what I mean?
I do hope though that Grogu being a knight at one point has those people send droids, all of those droids to like help them, because like
God,
he's one of theirs. No,
Mm.
that'd be great. And not that they're in it in a thing, but like if it's like a good moment, and like they, you know, and it's like they get rescued through this way or this thing
You're
that
a
changes the
kind-hearted
battle.
person, Jason.
Well, no, then it makes
you got to be nice to your sources. So
it makes something I consider to be a turd at least have a little bit of payoff. You know what I mean? Like
from turd to word, right? From tired to wired.
George Lucas would sort
turd
of do
to
that.
curd.
He would do like Clone Wars episodes like that weren't that great, and then he would like write like the sequel to the episode and it was stellar. And it's like, okay, well now when I watch that episode, I'm like, you know, it leads into that. Like I'm better with it. It sits better for me. And so that's something where I'm like, you know, in terms of the world building that they could be doing and stuff like for Grogu, I kind of like the idea. But
we've been doing this 2 hours, and I thought I'd say this for last, but this was a question I wanted to ask you since you've watched all of these Clone Wars and Rebels cartoons, right? Like,
yeah.
So Filoni is supposed to be the heir to George Lucas, right? He worked with them, studied with them, has picked up all the best parts of Lucas, right? And he's the new Lucas, right?
That's what people say. I don't say that, but yeah.
So if we have a 50-minute episode of something, do you think George Lucas would spend 15 minutes of that having characters just sit at a table telling you about their backstories, or would he have spent a couple episodes showing you those things? Because I'm trying to reconcile faster and more intense, right? And the show don't tell, and the Lucas way, these are meant to be silent movies with the exposition Lorian bits of this
example
series
one
as a whole that I don't get.
The Phantom Menace. I think that says it all.
The least right, but
right.
Exactly.
But you're asking,
that would be a complaint I'd have of that.
What would Lucas's protege do? Well, Lucas was that Lucas.
He would make more prequels. That's
you know what I mean? That's what George Lucas would be doing today.
That,
if the sequels were made by George Lucas recently, if they were his films, they would have been the prequels amped up for sure. That's what they would have been. In my opinion. But I also think that it like those moments weren't completely like dog shit. Like they were intriguing to fans, and they said that it like we were told they were just these warlords that were just like, you know, using what they had to like pillage and take stuff. And then we learned that there's a conspiracy going on now. There is a conspiracy. They are posturing and pretending, and they do have these other projects. And they're the project to, you know, Project Necromancer, Palpatine's plan is dropped in that. And we see who like all of these players are that are going to be, you know, villains in this larger thing that we're moving into. And
other more important series than this one, right?
What's that?
In other more important series than this one.
I am of just my opinion is that what's going to happen is that in the Ahsoka one is about unraveling Thrawn and getting at that. And then Thrawn comes back at the end of the Ahsoka series. But I would imagine that since everybody has different sort of skill sets and power levels, if you want to get all Dragon Ball Z about it, you can't necessarily have like Mando going and taking down Balin, right? So that's going to be like for the Ahsoka team. So I think that we're going to have the conflict spread over the different shows probably for a time, and then handled differently depending on what the show is and who those characters are. And then
we don't have a lot of time if his movie's coming out in 2026.
And once again, that's where I'm a little bit like, is that really what's happening? Is that really true? Because the takeaway from the start of the show, I thought should have been something doesn't make sense. Avatar has to move. Is Avatar moving though? We have no evidence that Avatar's moving. Are they going to go do Solo again and release a movie just fucking right after it? And they won't do that. No, that's exactly what they've been saying they're not going to do, and they're not going to do that.
Do that.
No, they won't. They wouldn't do it. It would not make any sense. They would be better off just putting it on Disney Plus at that point. And
I see them doing that too.
Yeah, well, that was, like I said, that's something that we had heard, and I'm of the opinion right now that under Chapek, that was probably more on the table, and under Iger, it's like, no, that's going to come out in the theater. I kind of think that's probably what's happened there. But
4th of July weekend or Memorial, or was it not Memorial Day? What's the one in September? Is that Labor Day?
Yeah, I mean, if they put it out, if they gave it a good 6 months, and with with the
July
shows
weekend?
And stuff moving in, I do think that one has a better shot than Solo ever had.
These things are scheduled years in advance. What is scheduled for 4th of July 2026? Does Box Office Mojo, does anyone have that info? Something has to be slotted. They do this 2 to 3 years in advance. So I would like to know what's slotted for 4th of July. That's why when I told you when when Star Wars backed out, or Star Trek or some shit, that
would be July 2024? Or what year would that be?
2026.
July of 2026.
Is an untitled Warner Brothers sequel.
Yeah, untitled Marvel movie that's been canceled.
Okay, right.
And July 24th is untitled Marvel movie wide, is what it says. That's all. That's for July 24th, 2026. So, it's, but
I could see that wide release being moved and a Star Wars film being put on the 4th. Yeah. I could see that.
Yeah.
Easily.
Because there is nothing. I mean, and Indiana Jones was for a time a July 4th release, and then it moved to June 30th. They decided to get more out of it. So we do have a modern window of Lucasfilm using that time, right? With Indy, June 30th. So if you ask me, if you do put out, I would probably even say closer to a June 30th thing would probably be where they would go, just like with Indy, and then somewhere around that week, however it falls, a day or two, and then it would go into the 4th of July weekend, and it would make a ton of money, and then you wouldn't have the Solo problem that you have, because Solo just didn't have any momentum going into it, because The Last Jedi, everything was focused on that. Everybody was talking about Rey, what happened there, those mysteries. Nobody was wondering about where did Han Solo come from at that moment. And
would have made more sense if Kira was her mom, though. If it had been a prequel, it's the only thing that is the only reason to do it that close, is if that was her, like you found out that she was Han Solo's daughter, and then Han
Solo loved his mom and loved her mom. It's not his daughter, even if it's not his daughter, but he loved her mom. And then you know what I mean? And it was all there, man. It was all right there.
She has the same accent and shit. Explains the British accent. Palpatine didn't really have much of a British accent.
Well, the reason why they wouldn't do it is because Filoni wrote this story where he clones Rey and Kira, and they scissor, and so he can't do it that way. Nobody told him he can't make it though, but that's why that happened. But anyways, well, we did it, man. We did it. It was I'm happy with the episode. I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was really good. I was entertained the whole time. I found it intriguing, and only complaint is that they didn't do 2 parts. 2 parts together, that would have been a great night.
We'd be here for 4 hours talking about this.
Sounds fun to me. But
you remember that when you canceled the show because you were talking to Santa for 4 hours.
Well, yeah, but that wasn't because we didn't have last night's episode of Mandalorian. We had last week's episode of Mandalorian. So
be nice, Jason. Be nice. Be a good boy.
All right. He could see what I'm doing right now. He's watching. All right. Well, everybody, we'll be back tomorrow, probably at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, talking about the news du jour. And thank you to everybody for liking the video and subscribing, being a channel member or Patreon supporter. And you can also get the show on Spotify, and you can watch the video show on Spotify as well. But the audio version, if you want to listen in your car or something like that, because we go for 2 hours sometimes. So you can do it that way. And we'll be back tomorrow, same bat time, same bat channel. And thanks, Rob, even though you're wrong. and Elsa's the hottest.
College got my baby. I'm 50 years old.